Welcome in, everybody. I would really like to talk to you about where November went, because I don't know, honestly, where it went. I feel like this whole month was a blur. Tomorrow's December. Welcome into session 4 of Soul Shift for November. This is our, after this, we have 1 month of Soul Shift left forever. The brand new program is called Living Magic, as you know. In some ways, it's very similar to Soul Shift. There's 4 sessions. One of them is about stones. You can sign up for just the stone session or for the whole program. The prices aren't going up. So there's a lot of similarities. We are warm. It's nice and toasty in my office, as it usually is. But we're so happy to see you today. I want to tell you, I'm really excited about tonight because I love crafting. I love the rabbit hole. I love talking to you about weird shit, which is always what we do in session 4. Is it anybody's first session 4? And I'm really glad you're excited about next year. It's really funny because I saw a post in the group where people are like, well, I don't know if next year's program is for me. And I'm like, but you haven't even heard about it yet.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot to come.
I'm really going to recommend that you hang tight because in my opinion, it's the best program I've ever taught you. And I'll tell you why that is. I'm going to bring the blinds down a little bit. I'll tell you why it's the best program ever, even better than this year. There we go. It's the best program I've ever brought you because it's going to cover everything in your life. There's going to be a lot more spontaneous teaching. I'm going to be teaching from my kitchen, from my bedroom, from my bathroom, from my garden, from here. I mean, I've never done that before. We've never certified you in astrology. We've never certified you in sound healing. And the crystal class is aligning to my brand new book. We're bringing you 4 world famous speakers next year, starting with Deepak Chopra in January, and only my students get to see it. I've never brought you a program like this before. So if you see anybody in the group saying, well, I don't know about next year, please tell them maybe just to wait till Friday. I'm always like, but wait. Anyway,
there's more.
It's only for you if you love it. You know, and it may not resonate with everybody, but there's so much to next year's program. And I'm going to tell you something. Our cost of operating Sage Goddess has increased by almost 50% in the last 48 months. We aren't raising prices of next year's classes by even $1. It's really remarkable. So, and that's a commitment to you because I don't want anybody to feel like they can't continue. I took my rings off, by the way, because we're crafting. I don't want anybody to not feel like they can continue because of money. So we couldn't lower the cost of programs because our costs have gone up by 50%, but we certainly didn't raise them for you. So we've absorbed all of those costs to make sure that you're going to be excited. And Joanne, you know, if you're not interested in astrology, keep in mind that's only 1 class out of the 4. And here's what you need to know about next year, Joanne. It isn't just astrology. We are doing, so at the beginning of every month, we are going to give you an up-close and personal, Tara and I, astro forecast for the month. Everything that you need to know. If there's an eclipse, we're going to prepare you for it. We're going to talk about what planets are direct and what planets are retrograde, how it's going to affect you in your personal life. So even if you could give 2 shits about astrology, like I'm a Libra and who cares, right? Which is fine. Some people are not into astrology. I think you do care about how the planets are moving and how that's going to affect you and your relationships and your income and your professional life. I think that matters to you. So it isn't just astrology, it's the astro forecast for the entire month. We've never done that before. We've never prepared you for everything that's coming in the month ahead, and then you get to ask questions of me and Tara. So if I'm a Libra, how is that going to affect me? If I'm a this, how's that going to affect me? If I'm trying to buy a house this month, what is that going to mean, right? So you're going to get to ask all those questions. You will still be able to sign up for the whole year up front and save 2 full months, so we're not taking the annual option away. And then every month there's going to be additional bonus content. And I haven't even planned it yet because I want it to be fun and serendipitous and like, here I am with something else to tell you about. So I'm going to tell you, it's the most you're ever going to get for your money. It'll be the last year that we cannot raise prices. So after this year, we will have to. And you're getting 4 certificates. We're certifying you in astrology, we're certifying you in sound healing, we're certifying you in crystal healing, and we're certifying you as a graduate of the Living Magic program. So I hope you're excited. We're still doing Elder Council. Of course we're doing Elder Council. That's my commitment to my spirit guides. Are you kidding?
Elder Council's happening.
If I didn't do Elder Council, I honestly think in the middle of the night, I would open my eyes and my bed would be surrounded by the ghosts of Christmas past going, you're not doing Elder Council? Like, that's my commitment to my spirit guides. So that's always part of it. So it's more than we've ever done. I will tell you, do you know that over 100 hours has gone into setting up just the Deepak Chopra Live for you? Between his management and us and going through and preparing and the graphics and the approval and the content and his book and then ordering his books, right? Because the first 1,000 people are getting a free copy of his book, and do we have the books and the shipping of the books and the arrival of the books and I can't even tell you what's going into this behind the scenes. So I just want you to have a little moment of celebration with me, and I want you to know that from my heart and soul, I've been doing teaching like this for over a decade. I have never felt like this is more aligned with who I am and where I'm at in my life and true to what we do at Sage Goddess than this year. So I'm really excited. I hope you are too. I've never had a chance to be live with Deepak Chopra and ask him questions.
That's just crazy if that's happening.
You know? Yeah, well, the first 1,000 people, how does it work, Alexis? Because I know we're converting people over. If you're already in programs, you're going to be automatically converted to Living Magic next year because the prices aren't going up. And then if you don't want to do it, you'll have to go in and cancel your membership. So Alexis can tell us more about that.
Yeah, we have more details coming soon. I don't want to.
It might be good to clarify that with Dave.
Yeah, I know that if you guys signed up with us at the beginning of this year, the free gifts were offered separately as a private listing.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be the
Something
first
like
1,000
that,
people
probably.
who have access to that, but we'll let you guys
find out.
Yeah.
I'm realizing that's a question I haven't asked him, so if you wouldn't mind finding out.
Yeah, I'll make sure. I have my.
We'll get all the details for you. So I don't want to take any more class time with all of this tonight, but at the end of tonight, when we get to Rabbit Hole, if you have more questions about class, I am happy to tell you. Is it just one class, Rayburn? Yeah, getting Deepak Chopra for 2 hours is kind of tough. So yeah, it's one session with Deepak. I wish I could bring you Deepak every week. But, so we'll tell you more, right? I will tell you more about how that came to fruition. One of the benefits, I'm really proud, and I don't like to sound like I'm bragging, because I really am not bragging. I'm a humble person. I half the time I don't know how I got here or how I've been so blessed. Penguin Random House came to me right after my mom died. It's the biggest publisher in the world, and they publish Deepak, they publish the Obamas, they publish everybody, right? It was my dream to be published by the #1 publisher in the world. They came to me after Mom died. I swear it was a gift from my mom, and asked me if I would write a crystal book for them. And I swear you could have knocked me over with a damn feather. I will be one of the first authors ever published by the world's biggest publishing house in crystals. Nobody else has ever written a crystal book for them. And it's because my first 3 books were really successful, right? And Sage Goddess has grown and everything. So I don't think it would have happened without everybody on the team here making it happen, and without having the kudos of being published by his publisher, which gives me a little bit of I don't know, legitimacy maybe. So anyway, I'm very, very proud. And yes, Crystalpedia, which is my new book, will be coming out for pre-order in March. It will be the first ever encyclopedia of crystals, and it will be available in December at every bookstore in the world. So we're really excited here at SG. So anyway, stay tuned. All of that is coming, but we're really proud. Yeah, I have some street cred now. It's just kind of nice to have it. You don't need to have it. My ego doesn't need it, but it is kind of nice to have that behind me at this point. Okay. Can we talk about rain medicine tonight? Those of you who've been with me for 100 years, it's like we've come a long way. And honestly, I don't take much credit for it. They wanted somebody with a doctoral degree. They liked the fact that I have a PhD and I was a college professor. They wanted somebody who could write about crystals but was also a serious writer and an academic. So, you know, a lot of times in my life I've looked back and I'm like, if I'd known I was going to do Sage Goddess, would I still have gotten a PhD? Because it was so hard to get a PhD. It took 10 years, you know? And now I'm like, no, it all makes sense, because Penguin, I'm sure, wouldn't have signed me without my doctoral degree. So it's all coming together, as it were. So yeah, we're going to get rain here in Southern California. It's raining where Teresa is. It's raining where, who else has rain right now? Well, I don't like to sound like I'm bragging. I'm really not. I mean, I never think of myself as somebody that special. Like, anybody can do what I'm doing, right? But it turns out that it probably was good that I finished my PhD after all. I know, look at that. Some of you have been around for a decade, which is really cool. So Maryland's raining, New York is raining, all the things, right? So we've got rain medicine. So the first half of tonight's class, from now until about 4:30, 4:45, right, is going to be focused on crafting. I forgot to bring my perfume from home, so we have a blend here that I can work with. I meant to bring it, and both my kids are sick right now, so I was like running. Both my kids are sick. I'm not feeling that great, so it's been kind of a challenging week. I know. Thanks, you guys. In Huntington Beach, it's going to rain too, which is just south of me. I know you guys in New York have rain. So anyway, it's going to be fun tonight. So we're going to do crafting. We're going to do a little anointing of our rain stick. I'm going to teach you about rain sticks. There's a really fun legend about rain sticks from Indonesia and Bali, which I wanted to share with you tonight, because it's where we've been studying this whole month, right? So I really wanted to bring that story and that legend to you. Yeah, everybody's got the flu. I don't have the flu. I have MS. But if you're struggling with the flu right now, I see you, and I'm sending you so much love. So we're gonna focus on that for the first half, and then for the second half, it's the rabbit hole, right? So any questions about anything, anywhere, anytime, I'm here for it. Honestly, rabbit hole is a big part of my joy, because we end up talking about such weird shit. And I'm here for that. I just love talking about weird stuff. And I will always tell you, yeah, get your glue gun ready, honey. Hit me with your best shot.
Why don't you hit me with your best shot? Hit me with your best glue.
Oh. Fire away.
No.
God, that's horrible. I'm sorry. My team was really sweet. They put out E6000, and I was like, listen, honey, I can't do that live, because E6000 takes a long time to dry, and the shit's going to be like falling off the rain stick and stuff. It's not going to look very good. So anyway, I'm here for all of it. The crafting, the rabbit hole, everything we're going to do tonight, and I'm thrilled that you're here. We don't have rabbit hole in the curriculum next year, but I'm kind of thinking that's going to be part of the bonus situation. It's not technically part of our classes, but I really like it, and some people don't, which is totally okay. You don't have to love everything I do. But what I'm kind of thinking is maybe it'll be a bonus class, and then if you don't love it, you don't have to come. And if you do love it, you can show up. I'm still going to do live crystal readings once a month. So I'm telling you, it's going to be such a great program next year. You can start registering on Friday. The link isn't live yet, or I would give it to you now, but you can start registering on Friday. And if you're already in programs, you don't have to register. We're just going to move you over. So honestly, there's nothing for you to do. Yeah. So anyway, stay tuned. More information on Friday, Annette. I know it's hard for me to tell you to hold on and wait, but my whole team will start running in here and gagging me if I tell you too much more about things that aren't ready to be told at the moment. And nobody else but you knows about Deepak. I want to say I'm really proud of myself for not posting the picture of me and Deepak yet on Facebook. I was tempted this morning, and I'm like, nope, can't do it yet. And actually you have the option of taking 2 singular classes this year. You can take the whole program and get the 4 certificates, or you can take just astrology or just crystal healing next year. More options, darling. Megan Easton, I see you. So anyway, but I'm not going to say anything more about it until Friday, okay? I'm shutting up. Team SG, do you hear that? I am shutting up.
She's shutting up and I'm shutting it down.
And Alexis is shutting it down. She's the rule maker.
How did I get stuck as the rule maker? What kind of a...
Elsie, just hang tight. You'll get all the information on Friday. Don't worry. And listen to me. Nobody gets charged till January 1. So
there's plenty of time to sort it out.
Do not worry. Today is not even December 1. So, like, I understand. I'm a pre-planner too. Just let it go and be here. Let go and let God.
I did see that question and wrote it down so that we can get it.
Yeah, we'll get it. Yeah, it is good for you to ask questions. I can't answer them all right now, though.
It's good to ask questions, but we also have a class that you guys wanted to take. So
yeah, and honestly, the what we decided to certify you in for next year was based on your requests. So we're really excited to give you all the things that you need. I always give scholarships, Emily, but I do it quietly. I don't do it publicly. And then we have something called the Sab Fairies program, which Sage Goddess actually donates to every quarter. And that's how people get help with their tuition. Other than that, I don't do public scholarships. Yeah, especially because I'm not raising prices, Emily, and my classes are the cheapest ticket in town. My spiritual teachers that I work with have all raised their prices by at least 30% in the last 12 months, and they all charge a minimum of $200 an hour. So from my perspective, our programs are really affordable. I understand they're not affordable for everybody, but we don't do a lot of discounting and scholarships because honestly, I can't employ a team and offer you things for much less. I truly can't. We have to be able to pay our staff and reward them and give them bonuses and do all the things that we do. And not raising our prices this year is challenging for us. So I really do appreciate your understanding. Okay, let's get to it. So let me show you where we're starting. If you got your tools this month, and you don't have to have your tools this month. No, unfortunately, you can't recommend anybody for a scholarship, but they can always go to Sab Fairies, and that will continue next year too. If you got your tools this month, you got this, which is your rain stick, and this is what we're going to focus on tonight, okay? And if you are with me for the crafting portion, it's going to go from this to this. Now, what I want to tell you, if you're new to classes, for the next hour and 15, I'm not really going to be looking at the feed. I'm going to be looking at the camera. Alexis and Karen are here to look at the feed. So if you have technical questions about, like, why is she gluing that, or what planet is she on, they're going to help you with that. I'm going to focus on the camera because I get distracted.
Listen here, I cannot answer for people what planet you are on. I have no idea. I'm just going to throw that out there.
She's half the time I don't know where I'm at either.
She's on planet Sag, Moon, Athena. I can't answer that, but the technical stuff I'll do my best.
I can't. But anyway, I will be back looking at the camera right around 4:45 until 6 o'clock for a rabbit hole tonight.
Karen said, and I will say I have no idea.
Holy shit, you guys. It's true. Half the time I don't know where I'm at, but you know what? You're here for it, and I'm excited about that. Okay, all right, now, and if you don't know what planet you're on, that's why we're friends. That's why we are friends, is because you don't know either, and I love you for it. I'm here for that. Honestly, Earth is weird these days. I'm fine migrating. Okay. Now, let's begin at the beginning. I have a lot of different things to tell you about tonight with water. I don't want to digress too much, because I really do want to make lots of time for rabbit hole and questions and answers. But I have so much to say about water because it's, I don't have much water in my chart. I gave birth to a child whose chart is almost all water. Even my son has more water in his chart than I do. He's Cancer rising and he's got a couple of other planets in water. Dave and I are like dry as a damn bone. Right?
You have me too.
And then but look at the people I attract. But I'll tell you something, my life would not be as rich without the people around me who bring water element magic. It really, truly would not, and we all need each other. I mean, I'm in their lives to get the party started, like Pink. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, stop making excuses, stop crying, and do the fucking thing, right? So I'm here as all fire to, like, get people going, get people moving. stop crying, right? But they're here to remind me, no, there's a softer, gentler way. We need to be in touch with our emotions, right? So we all balance each other out. And I will tell you, I was telling Zoe this morning on the way to school how much I've learned from her. She has taught me so much about navigating that deeper emotional side of life. And one of the things that's interesting about water as an element, so let's start there, right? And you know me, like in my spiritual practice and in my path, I have studied so many different traditions from so many different pathways and countries, and I've had about 8 different shamanic teachers over my life. One from China who practices Chinese shamanism. I've had 2 who are Karo shaman. I've had two shaman actually, who are work with plant medicine here in North America. One in Mexico and one in the United States. And they've all come at this elemental work with me from different directions. So when I teach you, I'm really teaching you from a holistic place. What's interesting for me is, and look at all the water in the chart in the feed too. What's interesting for me is, even though these people are very diverse, they're ethnically diverse, they're spiritually diverse, they're all different ages. I would say the youngest spiritual teacher I've ever worked with was in her 20s. The oldest now is almost 90. And I've been working with her for 30 years. I just talked to her yesterday, and I was talking to her about tonight's class. And it's amazing how different they are, and yet how much in common they have when they talk about the elements, okay? The main thing with water, and you're even gonna see different medicine wheels, right? I always work with what's called the Lakota medicine wheel from indigenous Native American practice. But if you go to the Andes, if you go to Central and South America, a lot of times you'll see a shamanic medicine wheel where water isn't west, right? So people will come to me and go, well, you teach waters in the west, and they teach waters, in whatever other direction. What I've had to do in my practice is I have had to pick a direction and go with it so that I can be consistent in my practice. Does that make sense? And the Lakota medicine wheel has just always rung true for me. One of the things puzzles I haven't been able to solve in my life, and the reality is I may never solve it, is that before my mom died, she handed me off about 30 pages of handwritten notes documenting her own Native American lineage that she'd been tracing for the last 4 decades of her life. I've never claimed myself to be part of it. Because part of me is like, I can't prove it, and people are so, I probably can prove it if I put energy into it, but people are so judgmental about it, like, oh, she's saying this, she's saying that. But my mom claimed herself to be part of a very particular Native American tribe. And she always encouraged me to go with Native practice, Native American indigenous practice, because she's like, I can tell you have this lineage, and I've spent the last 30 years tracing that lineage with you. And the stories I could tell you, a lot of them are stories I've never told, because again, I'm not one of those people who wants to go, oh, I'm this or oh, I'm that, and put that out there as like a way of establishing my identity, because I just don't want to deal with the backlash that people bring when that happens. But I have always really felt connected to the tribal lineage that's linked to the various tribes in the continental United States. It's always been something that sat close to my heart. So the Lakota medicine wheel, which is pretty common to most of the indigenous tribes in the U.S., has always resonated with me. Having said that, if you feel like water's in the South, right? I know, and I haven't gone through all that, Rinna, so you know what I mean? There's part of me, I feel her on my shoulder sometimes going, please go and do that, and call them and call the tribe and call the council and all these things. And I just haven't done it. Because honestly, it's so much BS, you know what I mean, what people put people through when they're going through that process, so I just haven't wanted to do it. I don't really need it for my own validation, you know what I mean, for whatever that's worth. But what I want to tell you is, if you think water's in the South, if you think water's in the East, if you think water's on Arcturus, it doesn't really matter. What I want to talk about tonight is what water represents. And what's fascinating to me, okay, is that whether you look at water as an element that resides in a direction, or whether you look at it just purely as the element itself, water represents cleansing, purification, renewal, and abundance. Let me say that again, okay? Because what I know from having worked with different spiritual teachers for over 30 years is that everybody agrees on this. If you look at the Hindu pantheon and you look at Lakshmi, right? She's a water goddess. She represents abundance, right? She represents renewal. She represents light. She represents illumination. She represents expansion. So again, purification, renewal, abundance. And there's also a maternal energy, if you think about it, right? It's absolutely life. It's the life force, right? I've been terrified of water since I was born. And it's because not the past lifetime, but the lifetime before that, I was sacrificed into water. I know a lot of people don't believe in past lives, and I don't think this is a past life. I think all lives are happening concurrently. There are very few past lives that I know really happened and that I could see with absolute clarity. But I was sacrificed off a cliff into water, and so I have an abject fear of water because of it. I only take showers when I need to. I don't go into the ocean. I have a swimming pool. I don't use it. I don't even like hot tubs. I don't want water above my chest. It's nerve-wracking to me, right? So, and I think that when you have that kind of abject fear of something, it's always been the work that I have to do to integrate it. Ayahuasca's helped me a lot, right? But I think if you're sacrificed into water, then maybe your fear is recognizable, right? So I had that past life. Ayahuasca showed it to me in a great amount of detail. I volunteered, by the way, to be sacrificed, so it didn't happen against my will, but that doesn't mean it's not scary. And so I have this fear of water, but I also have this love of water. And I think it's so fascinating that I ended up having children who embody water and have no fear of it. The first thing Dave and I did when the kids were little is we got them into swimming lessons, because my thing is, as a parent, I'm afraid of water. I never want our kids to be afraid of it. And our kids swim like fish. It's cold here in Southern California. They will still turn on the pool heater and jump in now. They did it this past weekend. I'm like, how are you swimming? It's cold. They love water, right? Your body is made of water, right? And so, and between 60 and 70% of your body is water. So we are water. And here's the other piece of it. Right? Truly, here's the other piece of it. You were gestated in water, right? You, in your mother's womb, right? We all come from woman, right? What's the Adrienne Rich poem of Woman Born, right? In your mother's womb, you gestated inside of water. It's really, really true. And so you were grown in water, right? And then you took your first breath out in the open air after you were born, after being gestated in that container for so long. And so I think it's really important to recognize that we come from water, we're made of water, and even if you're like me and you have a terrible fear of water, there's still a really powerful force that we all need to work with and reconcile. I make peace of it, or with it, in different ways. And one of the ways I make peace with it is through sound tools and sound instruments. I love the sound of water. I love it when it rains. A lot of you do too, right? So when it rains, we love the sound of it. And what a rain stick is it's a percussion instrument. It's technically considered a percussion instrument, at least by all of my friends who are percussionists, and my medicine teachers teach me that too. Because not only can you run it diagonally, which is how you're supposed to do it, like this, to listen to the sound, right? And I like to make a nice infinite symbol, right? Figure 8 symbol to help you connect with that energy. But you can also strike it and you can use it as a rattle too. All rain sticks can be used that way. I have a couple of different examples to show you. So this is a rain disc that we had at Sage Goddess eons ago. Water was part of other realms too, is part of other realms, right? You guys remember this one? It's been quite a while since we brought these to you. This Momo made for us, I don't know how long ago it was. I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago.
Like maybe like a year and a half ago.
Yeah. So Mom will have these made for you in Indonesia too. We don't have these anymore, by the way, but it's the same concept as the one you have this month. And so here's what's interesting too. The other thing I want to talk about before we get into more of the actual playing for it. It's okay, Alexis. Thank you. The other thing I want to mention to you is, in every spiritual tradition, there has been a flood. I learned about it because my grandmother was a minister and I was raised in the Christian tradition, right? And I think we have a few more of the rain sticks if you want them over at the website. I learned about it, Noah's Ark and like 2 of each animal, you know what I mean? Getting on the ark and all of those things, which I always thought was weird. It never really resonated with me. And one of my favorite memes ever in social media was like, but you didn't see 2 unicorns? Or like, how did the animals not maul each other? Or things like that.
Let the mosquitoes in?
Who let the mosquitoes in? Or the mites? Or the like little shitty critters? The chigger? What do they call them in the South? Chiggers or whatever? I don't know. There's little bugs that bite you in the South.
The termites.
Who let termites in, right? I mean, I don't know. There were certain creatures that should not have made it onto Noah's Ark, and apparently they did, and now we have to live with them. So anyway, there should have been a bodyguard at the door or whatever saying no to the mosquitoes. But anyway, yes, Ragnarok, right? And also if you look at, literally every tradition talks about a flood. Now in magical, and fire ants, in magical traditions, Lemuria. What happened to Lemuria? Right? If you don't believe in Noah's Ark, and I'm not sure, Noceums is the other name for those. I'm not sure I believe in Noah's Ark. It's just a little weird for me. I think the Bible is very metaphorical, so I think that we have to be careful not to take it all too literally. But I do believe that Lemuria was submerged underwater. Was that the Great Flood? We also believe that Atlantis is now underwater. Was that the Great Flood? Part of what, and I'll share this with you just because this is a spiritual class, right? Part of what's interesting to me is, and I don't know if this ever is something that crosses your mind, and we can talk about this in the rabbit hole if you want later too. I really do think often about how many changes our planet has gone through, right? We had an ice age where most of this planet was under ice. The dinosaurs became extinct, right? Whether it's through meteoric collision or because of radical temperature changes or because of those temperature changes caused a loss of food. Our planet has gone through lots of evolutions in its lifespan. I think sometimes we take everything for granted, that the planet's always going to look the way it does, that the planet's always going to feel the way it does. I have to tell you, I think we should not take that for granted. I think our planet could change dramatically. If you look back at the map of how the continents looked 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, it didn't look like it does today. So when we look at where Lemuria was and where Atlantis was, right, we have to recognize that our planet has gone through major evolutionary changes. But I do find it interesting. One of my points of departure in my own spiritual teaching and my own spiritual learning, and this comes from my spiritual teachers too, because we all have had these conversations over the decades I've worked with them. One of the things I think we have to really focus on is that our planet continues to evolve and grow. And where we are today is not where we were before. And water has always played a figurative role, whether it's through the ice age and everything freezing over, or through these major floods where bodies of water have crossed and submerged entire continents and civilizations underneath them. Now we know that other elements have done this too, right? We know that fire has caused volcanic activity has happened. My own civilization, on my dad's side, the Minoan civilization, largely was destroyed by volcanic activity, which then caused, tsunamis and then caused the parts of the Aegean to be flooded. But we have to think about this, right? Because the energy of water and how water has created transformation on our planet is huge. Now, we're talking about the macro level right now, way big up here, right? So planets change, the planet changing, the continent formations changing, the way we experience life on the planet changing, and remembering too that every form of life comes from water. We wouldn't be able to have life on Earth if it wasn't for water. Water is the primary element that's responsible for the creation, formation, and sustenance of life on Earth. So it's both a blessing, and in some cases it's a real challenge for us. How do we work with water? How do we navigate water? Water can be a blessing. It can cause you to float. It can allow you to experience lightness of being. It can relax you. It can bring abundance your way. Water can also drown you. And water can submerge entire continents and civilizations. And so I think there's a massive respect that is deserved by this element, and that's kind of what I wanted to introduce you to tonight. What's interesting to me too is we haven't spent that much time looking at each element distinctly and talking about its incredible power, both its positive power, its power to create, its power to destroy, or its power to expand, and also its destructive power. But every element has that power. Hurricanes, right? The word hurricane comes from huracan, which is the god of wind in Mexico. And so hurricanes are these incredible forces of air that come through and can blow and move and change. So wind can be very refreshing. It can create a breeze that helps you breathe. But wind can also come through and destroy, as many of you know, living through different hurricanes and events on the planet too. So we've got earth, we've got air, earth, right? Earthquakes, tectonic plates shifting. Those of us here in Los Angeles live on a major tectonic fault line, so the actual structures of the planet can change, right? Energy lines can move along those as well. I do see, I'm just looking at my peripheral vision. I know there's a lot of activity in the feed, and I just want to tell you, if anybody's having challenges, I will be back with you as soon as I'm done teaching. I'm going to leave it to Alexis and Karen. I'm so sorry if anybody's experiencing challenges. I just don't want to lose track of my teaching because it's really easy for that to happen. But I promise you during Rabbit Hole, I'll be right back to see you and support you. I just want to make sure that everybody who's here for class today is getting all of the content, and our time is very limited. Is there anything urgent, Alexis, that I should mention?
Mackenzie's daughter just had to be taken to the ER just now.
Oh, so my goodness. Well, you obviously you can't be here. Yeah. Thank you, Mackenzie, for letting us know. We will absolutely hold space for you, sending you lots of love and blessings to your daughter. Mm-hmm. Please keep us posted, and I will. Alexis and Karen, if there's anything I need to know, please let me know while I'm teaching.
I'll be keeping you updated.
They're more than able to interrupt me if there's an emergency, but we just love you guys. I don't want people who are here for class to feel like I'm not paying attention, but I absolutely see you.
Yeah, we're sending you so much love, Mackenzie.
Having had children with health challenges over the years, Mackenzie, my heart is with you. So just know we're loving you, but please go take care of your daughter. You can watch class later, we understand. Okay, so I'm probably being long-winded about this, but I wanted to put it in context, okay, because the elements are so important. One of my main spiritual teachers, who's been consistent with me over 2 decades, I love her. I don't work with her all that often because she's very expensive and she travels all over the world and I can't get her on her schedule, but she's one of my favorites. And what she says is, if you understand nothing else, you have to understand the elements, because they're working in you and on you all the time. Your body is earth, air, fire, and water, right? And so you have to understand the interaction and the intersection of those elements to understand even how to work magic, because manifestation is earth, air, fire, and water, right? We have an idea of something we want to create, and it comes to us as inspiration. That's air, right? It's a thought. And then we feel into it like, ooh, I would really love to have whatever that is, right? I would love to have that new job or that great relationship or whatever. So, ooh, now I'm feeling into it. And then there's a fire in our belly that starts, right? That's how she described it, as a fire in the belly. It's that Hestia. It's that inner volcano of like, ooh, how am I going to create this? How am I going to breathe fire into this and life into this? That's fire. And then earth is, how do we actually bring it into being? How do we anchor it on the planet so that it isn't just an idea in my mind or a desire in my heart or a passion in my belly, but it's a building that you can see. It's a product that I can bring you. It's a child that I can bring into the world, right? That's the earth element, bringing those visions and dreams and feelings and passions into a physical form. Does that make sense? So that's why the elements are so important. The element lady is one of my oldest teachers. Yeah. She doesn't take on clients anymore, so oftentimes I'll refer you to my teachers, but she's retired now. But she's been a big part of my learning and teaching over all these decades, and she's gotten really, in her retirement, she still travels all over the world, and I've been so blessed to learn from her all these years too. So that's what I wanted to tell you about the elements and why they're so important to your lineage and to your practice and to your traditions, because each one of them is the reason you're here. And honestly, you came from water, and I think that's probably why water will always be so important to us as human beings. We were literally birthed from water, right? I'll never forget, my son came into this earth because my water broke 4 weeks before he was supposed to be born. And then my daughter broke her own water sack, her own water bag, and forced an emergency C-section. So both of my kids broke through water to come onto the planet. And as a mom, I think that's also a kind of a powerful metaphor for me as somebody who doesn't have a lot of water in my chart. My kids both taught me about life by forcing themselves onto the planet through water as well. Okay, so now rain sticks. What are rain sticks? I'm going to teach you the cute little legend, right, from Indonesia that I think is super powerful, and I think it's a beautiful story. And I've heard 3 or 4 different versions of this story. So I'm going to share with you the main version of it, kind of the most generic version of it, and then I welcome you also to come through and to see if you have any questions about it. You can probably find other versions of this story online too. So the story as I've heard it all these years, down to 2 of my friends who live in Bali now and have told me the story through their lenses too, is that there was an Indonesian god. And Indonesia is full of volcanoes. There's so much volcanic activity, right? That's where your Cintamani stone comes from, right? There's a volcano in Indonesia, and we talked about that last month in Crystal Masters too, where coming up through, and this month too with your skull, with your Agni Mani, coming the volcano erupting and sending that obsidian, that glass, up through the atmosphere, and then it descending down into the waters around Indonesia and being born of water. So it's the pearl of fire. It's fire and water, right? So the legend, right, in Indonesia about rain sticks and water is that there was an ancient god in Indonesia. And he was sitting on a mountaintop, and he was meditating. And he was wondering, where does water come from? Because he could see the water around him, right? Indonesia is an archipelago. There's lots of little beautiful islands, right, surrounded by water. But he was sitting on top of the mountain's top one day, and he was like, where does water come from? I know we have it, but where does it come from? And so and the village was going through a drought when the god was wondering this. He's like, how do I make it rain? What's the origin story of water? So he left the village and he went to the top of a volcano. And he thought, okay, maybe it's the top of the volcano that creates water. So he sat at the top of the volcano, and the volcano was erupting and fire was emerging, and the sky was hot and dry and the land was parched. And he was like, no, I don't think this is where it comes from. So he went past the volcano to a mountaintop, past a mountaintop. I'm looking at my notes too to make sure I'm telling you the whole story. To the jungle, because there's lots of really beautiful, almost rainforesty type of jungles. Out all the way to the farthest point of water he could find, where the edge of the Indonesian archipelago meets the open ocean. He went right there. And he took his hands and he reached down into the water and he started to drink the water into his mouth. And he drank the water and he drank the water. And he watched the flow of the tides, and he watched the winds carrying the water. There was a mist and like a fog. So he was watching the winds bring the water forward. And he looked off to the side from where he was sitting, watching the wind come through, because he was like, well, maybe it's wind that makes rain. But the wind wasn't bringing rain, right? The wind was making things drier. It was blowing the hot air from the volcano all around the islands, and it was making everything hotter and drier. So he turned to his side, and he saw bamboo. This is the whole reason you have this in your kit tonight. He saw bamboo growing. And he heard from the other gods, is the legend, that bamboo is where water comes from. And so he took the bamboo and he gathered sand. I don't know how he made a base for it. The legend doesn't tell this, but he gathered sand and he grabbed pebbles and he grabbed everything organic he could find. And he held the bamboo between his hands and he turned the bamboo. And he turned it again. And he turned it again. And he turned it again. And he said, this is where water comes from. And so he gathered up all the bamboo stalks he could find, and all the pebbles he could find, and all the sand he could find. And he brought all of these bamboo sticks back to the village that was having a drought. And he handed, isn't this beautiful? He handed the bamboo out to all of the people in the village. And he told them to put it between their hands and to gather up the stones and the pebbles and the sand and the seeds and everything that he had brought back. And he said, turn it from side to side. And he taught them to, again, to turn it in this sort of like figure 8 kind of diagonal way, just like I'm teaching you tonight. And he said, this is one of the most beautiful quotes. Learn to gather magic as you need it, but also learn to leave magic where magic is found. Let me say that again. Learn to gather magic where magic is needed, but also learn to leave magic where magic is found. And so the legend is that's why bamboo grows wild across Indonesia, which it does. Also throughout other parts of Asia, right? Learn to gather magic as you need it, but also learn to leave it where it's found. For me, this is water medicine, you guys. Right? Learn to go through life and gather magic as you need it. Wisdom from people, wisdom from me, wisdom from other teachers, wisdom from the planet, wisdom from each other. But also learn that you don't have to have all the magic, right? Do you ever think about that? We can't take it with us. Sometimes when I have crystals and stuff and people will be like, well, how do you not keep everything? Because I've also learned to leave magic where it's found. Not every magic is mine. Some of it's yours. Some of it belongs to Alexis. Some of it belongs to people I'll never know, right? Gather magic where you need it and then leave the rest of it behind. And his message was really profound because he only brought back, I know it makes me emotional too, he only brought back enough bamboo to make it rain in the village. And he left all the other bamboo growing.
It's beautiful.
So that every generation after that would be able to go back and harvest the bamboo to do their own rain sticks and their own rain ceremonies and their own rain magic. So part of why I was so excited about tonight's class is every time I teach you, I try to bring you something that I haven't brought to you before. We haven't really taught about rain sticks before. That legend is new. But I think the message of it and the medicine of it is so universal and so critical and so powerful that there's certain magic that's going to reveal itself to you, right, in your lifetime. And you'll have what you need, but not all of it is for you. And the reason is some of it's for your nieces and nephews and the future generations. Some of it's for people you'll never meet. who need it in their own way. If we go through and harvest everything and take everything and absorb everything, one day we won't be here. And there won't be a way other than through, for me, it's writing, right? I try to write books so that I can leave a legacy of some wisdom behind when I'm gone. Everybody has their own way of doing that. But to know that when you're looking at this rain stick, that the reason these, and both of these were handmade in Bali, so whether you got the tools this month or something from my beloved Momo in previous months, these are both made from bamboo from the same location in Bali. Isn't that cool? I made Alexa sneeze.
I think I'm allergic to something.
Really? I don't know.
I'm just kidding. I just always happen to sneeze whenever you're live in here.
I know. There could be something here. Maybe. Is it a new old legend or a new legend?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I just told you is an old legend. But you can make it new for yourself, right? Mm-hmm. We're all blessing you.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
She's allergic to my attention deficit disorder.
Maybe I'm allergic to being live.
All right. Yeah, it's true. Well, Katrina said, when she forages plants, she was always taught never to take more than a third. Do you know if you harvest? I happen to be a white sage kind of aficionado. Sage got us started with white sage over 12 years ago now, because it was my. So I don't know if you know the story, but I'm going to share it with you really quickly because it kind of reinforces this idea. On my 36th birthday, I'll be turning 50 next year. So this was 13 and a half years ago. On my 36th birthday, I had never spent a birthday alone in my whole life, ever. How many of you know this story? Do you know the story?
No, I don't think so. I'm
really?
Listening to it, I'm just like, 36.
I was 36. And I think I don't know, maybe I was going through a midlife crisis. I don't know what it was. I told Dave, I know it's weird, but there's a couple who grows white sage. They live hours from where we lived at the time. And I said, what do you think about me going to visit them on my 36th birthday? I want to spend the day with them. So I'll have breakfast with you and the kids, and then I'll have dinner with you and the kids. But I want to go see these people on my 36th birthday. I want to drive up by myself. It's a true story. Mm. And are you 36? And Dave was like, okay. I mean, Dave's so great. He's always, down for the show. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. So I called these people and I said, are you open to the public? Because they grew white sage, but it was on their land, their house, right? And I found them, and I said, are you open to having me come and visit you for the day? And I still am friends with these people, by the way. And they both said, really? You want to come spend your birthday with us? And I said, yeah, I want to come out. I want to drive out first thing in the morning, and I want to spend my day with you. And I want to see your land. And they said, absolutely. If you're willing to drive out here. It was 2.5 hours there and 2.5 hours back. They live on the border of California and California and Mexico. So I drove out there first thing in the morning on my 36th birthday. I didn't really know them. I felt like I was kind of like infringing on them, but they said, no, come out. We'll have lunch. We'll make lunch for you, and you can walk the property with us. So I drove out first thing in the morning. I didn't know what it was like to drive along the Mexican border. I was stopped by Border Patrol multiple times on my way and multiple times on my way back. It was a really interesting experience. So I arrived there, and they gave me a tour of their land, 30-some acres of land. There's petroglyphs all over the rocks on their property. Again, they're right, like California's here, Mexico's here. They are literally on the border, okay? It was hot, it was dry, it's August, right? And so they took me all around their property, and they said, I wanted to know, how did you start growing white sage here? Like, this is fascinating to me. And so they told me, they're like, Athena, it's the weirdest story. We bought this house. Remember the story? We bought this house. They were in their, I want to say they're in their 50s or 60s when they bought the land. And they said, we weren't in great shape. So it was 5 or 10 years before they actually walked the whole property.
Wow.
they didn't know they had white sage growing on their property for years because they couldn't get around enough to find it. And so Ken, the husband, said, one day I saw all these plants growing wild and I touched the leaves and it smelled really amazing. And I was like, God, this is really interesting. And he said, I'm kind of a hobbyist. So I was like, I wonder if I can propagate this. Like, take a couple cuttings, maybe put them in some water. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, what you would do, right? Like, what is this thing growing? I don't know what it is. And so he ended up, now they have 30 acres of wild sage growing. That's where our white sage for Sage Goddess comes from. I still get it organic from them, from their land, all these years later. So when you get our bundles from Sage Goddess, that's still where it comes from. Because I went out there on my birthday. Nobody else has ever gone out there and spent the whole day with them. The funniest part of the story is they also grow cannabis out there. And they wanted to send me home with a couple of cannabis plants. And at the time, it was not legal. And I said, listen, I got through a bunch of Border Patrol just now. I don't want any of that. I went home with nothing. I didn't take white sage home. I didn't take cannabis home. I took nothing home. And thank God, because they stopped me all the way back. Border Patrol stopped me all the way back from there.
Oh my gosh, imagine.
But, yeah, and he said, you know what? So what's interesting about this, you guys, he ended up building his own distillery. Our white sage essential oil that we use comes from his distillery. He ended up this man built his own distillery to distill white sage essential oils from his own plants. And that's how they support each other now. Is all these years later, it's because they have this little like, oh my God, we're on our property, and oh my God, this plant's growing, and oh my God, what if I could harvest it, and what if I could build a distillery and get the essential oil from it, right? So anyway, that's a true story. And honestly, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you today if I hadn't said, do you think I could come? And that's where I discovered the talking stick too. Do you think I could come spend my birthday with you? So they sang happy birthday to me. They had a little cake. We had a little meal together. So they're sweet. Amazing human beings. She makes her own hemp twine. We've made bundles out of it for you before. She tie-dyes her own hemp. They're an amazing couple. And I still, every couple of months, talk to them on the phone. And yeah, it's an amazing, amazing, amazing experience. But I share all this with you because even that, I don't even know how I found them. I don't know how. Honestly, I cannot tell you how. But here's where water figures into this. Do you know what he told me? He's a little bit of like a scientist engineer in his own right? He's got to be in his late 70s now, maybe 80s. He said, Athena, the trick is white sage only thrives where there's rainfall. And we've been in a drought. So he had to build a water system over all of those acres to mimic rainfall.
Wow.
So it would drip on the white sage plants, but not submerge them, because if you get the roots wet, they die. And he's the one who taught me, if you take any more than 30% of a white sage plant, you will kill it. If you take 33% of a white sage plant when you cut it, you will kill it. You have to take 30% or less. The plant is so specific to what you can take. So that story is kind of a lesson to you, like, don't take more than you need. And he had to build an entire irrigation system to mimic rainfall. Now, here's what's really interesting. My dad has started, for the last 10 years, has been growing white sage from seeds, right? He has a whole thing of it at his house. And he learned from what I taught him from them and has made it mimic rainfall so that the water comes from above over the plants and not from below to the root systems. This is why water is not water. You can overwater something. I want to sit with you in this medicine for a minute before we decorate our rain sticks. How many of you guys have overwatered your crops? This is where the hard medicine comes in. How many of you have taken too much from your crops? Asked too much from the people who love you? How many of you have taken more of your natural resources than you should? How many of you have expected more from people than you should, right? How many of you have overdrawn your water bank account, right? I mean, I have, right? I have poured too much into relationships. I've also asked people to give me more than I deserve. I have poured too much love into things that can't give me that love back. I've asked people to give me more than they honestly should be required to give me. And so one of the things I want to think about tonight as we work with our water medicine is, I want to talk about good exchange. You should receive in line with what you give. If you are asking for more from life, from relationships, from people, from situations, from circumstances, then they are able to give you, you're not in good exchange. There has to be some sense of equality. And my greatest teacher of that, honestly, was them and White Sage. On that day, this coming year, it will be 14 years. But I will never forget him saying, if I give them too much water, it feels good to me, I'm taking care of my plants, they will all die. If I submerge their roots, if I try to take too much care of them, this whole thing will be dead. If I sprinkle a little bit, but I don't drown them, then they're like, oh, thank you, right? It's just enough. And he's like, what I think is best for my plants is not always what's best for them. It reminds me of parenting. This is where it all hits home for me. In parenting, I often think about the fact that, like, I want to give my kids everything, right? I want to give them security and happiness, and, like, I'm Greek, so, like, food. I want to feed them all the time. I want to, like, do you have enough of this? Do you have enough of that? Or from my relationships, give me more. I want more. Why aren't you giving me this? I should have that. You gave me that, but now I want more of this. Well, I should have twice that. Why'd you only give me that? Now I'm getting gypped or whatever. There has to be exchange, right? And sometimes we ask too much of people who can't give us what we're looking for because we're not asking other people. We're expecting our partner to give us everything we need, but we should have friendships, right? Our partner should not be the only source of love and happiness and joy. Otherwise, we're going to suffocate our partner. We're going to water them at the root. And what's going to happen is it's going to rot, right? So we have to sprinkle them from above. This is tonight's medicine at its core. This is what my teachers have taught me, and honestly, the ones who aren't trying to be teachers. The White Sage farmers were never trying to be my spiritual teachers, but I'll tell you, over the last 13 years, they've taught me more about life and about how to manage relationships than I ever learned from almost anybody else who was actually trying to teach me something, right? Sometimes, like Sarah says, we give too much. Sometimes I give too much. Sometimes I expect too much. And then I'm like, well, why not? I deserve that. You should give me that. That's mine or whatever. And it's like, where's that coming from? There should be, what I've learned with plants in particular is there should just be gratitude. Thank you for what I'm receiving. This plant is giving me what it can give me. This relationship is giving me what it can give me. This teacher is giving me what they can give me, right? This opportunity is giving me what it can give me. If it's not enough, then I need to expand out and figure out what else I can find in these other places, because there isn't one source. There's one source of energy, but it's manifested in 1,000 different places. And so if I'm not satisfied over here, maybe I should try over here, and see if I can balance it out. But if I'm looking to one person, one relationship, one teacher, one experience, one plant for everything, I'm going to lose. And I may end up losing it for good. Does that make sense? It's interesting medicine. I've done this, by the way. I'm so guilty of this because I'm a Leo. And for me, more is more. Like, I always want more. If you give me one helping of spaghetti, I want 2. If you give me 1 egg roll, I want 4. If you give me, if you give me one thing, I always would like more. But I've really had to sit back and learn. And even from my kids, like, as my kids are getting older, they don't need me as much. And my heart hurts a little bit sometimes. Like, oh, Zoe doesn't want to spend all her free time with me anymore, right? I mean, I'm just being honest with you, right? Like, I'm not her only source of fun anymore. I used to be when she was little, but I'm not the only thing anymore. And she needs to have her friendships, and she needs to have that space, right? Right now, I am the center of Nick's female emotional world, but he will have a partner one day, and that will not be me. And I will have to take a step back and honor this partner who's also going to step in and provide him emotional security and depth. And I will have to, but you know what, I'm looking forward to that, because I get to meet that person and be a support to that person, and probably learn from that person too, and love that person too, and bring them into my family as well. Does that make sense?
I can't wait to see what kind of mother-in-law you are. Just the type of nurturing person you are. I'm like tearing up.
I know, she's tearing up over
She's
here.
like looking at me and I'm tearing up listening to her. I have been blessed with such an amazing mother-in-law.
You truly
and
have.
I know that you're going to be that for someone.
I want to be
I
that.
can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah. I always hoped my kids would be gay. I've said this to you before, just because I thought it'd be a really good parent to gay children, and my kids are not. They're pretty heterosexual, which is totally fine. I'm not. Please don't take that the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's fantastic too. I just always thought I'd be a good ally, and I don't. That's not going to be my experience this time. But it was just like, whoever my kids choose, I want to support them and love them, and I want them to feel like they're part of my womb family too.
Maybe you'll get an in-law that's part of the community.
I would love to have an in-law that's part of the community. Like, that would be part of my, like, growth. But I'm slowly starting to see that, like, I'm not the center of all these worlds, right?
Karen said Alexis's water is showing up. My water is always showing up. I wear my water on my sleeve.
She does wear her water on her sleeve.
I have an emotional shower all the time.
I'm an auntie to a lot of little ones, and I'm a friend to a lot, and I'm a support mechanism, you know what I mean? But it is hard on your own children to look and say, if I keep watering their roots, I'm going to drown them. Do you know what I mean? I have to now water them from up here and go just a little bit here, just a little bit there, just a little bit here. I cannot come underneath my children and water them from the roots anymore. I'm going to drown them. Is this landing with you guys? I really hope it is. I hope it's making sense. I wanted to take you on kind of a full circle journey tonight into my own experience with the elements, and a lot of what I'm teaching you tonight isn't easy to hear, because we just want everything from everyone, and it's not fair, you know what I mean? And at some point we have to step back and go, I am some things to some people. I can expect some things from some people. If I'm too much, I'm going to lose, right? So how do I lean in and pull back? And lean in and pull back. Give a little bit here, but not too much, right? Because everybody has to learn this lesson at some point. It's a lot. It's bittersweet. But you know what isn't bittersweet about it? You know what is not bittersweet about it? Every day, something new, someone new, something else comes into my world and says, I'm going to sprinkle you here. Every day, something new comes into me, and says, arr. Not trying to water me from underneath, but just trying to, I see you, I support you, I have this little wisdom to share with you. I'm not going to be everything to you, but I got a little bit here. Every day, something in my life, I'm learning not from underneath, but from above, right? Okay. So I want to show you a couple of rain sticks, and then we'll decorate our rain sticks, and then we'll have rabbit hole. Listen, rabbit hole's going to be fun today, because I'll go wherever the fuck you want to go today. We've had a real juicy, sexy, deep, hard, challenging conversation, and I'm willing to go wherever you want to go at the end of this to talk about whatever. But I have a lot of people in my life who go, I can't be underneath you. I can't not do it all for you. I'm not going to do that, because that's a boundary. But I could be up here. And I'm only this for you. I'm not this. I cannot be that for you. If I told you I was going to be this for you, you should cancel your membership in this program right this minute. Any spiritual teacher who tells you they're going to water you from underneath is going to drown you. It's not right. A good teacher is not going to come in and try to fix everything and be everything. I always tell you, you should have multiple teachers. You should hear other voices. I am not the smartest person on the planet. Anybody who tells you they're going to be this for you, I don't think they're telling you the truth. I'm up here, and I hope I do a really good job, but I'm not that. Why do you think I work with half a dozen different teachers myself? Because she's here, and he's here, and they're here, and she's here, and she's here, and they're here.
Wait,
right?
I think there's... Wait, I don't...
Alexa says there's a problem.
I can't tell if there's a problem on... No, because you still...
Nobody's saying there's a problem.
No, sorry. I think it's on my end.
Alexis is having a problem.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we're not having a problem. She's trying to do this for you right now, and I'm up here going like this.
I'm the problem. Sorry, guys. My personal internet cut out on my laptop, and I saw the spinning wheel of death on the YouTube.
Okay.
I was like, did you press the button?
I didn't touch a thing.
All right, sorry.
But
guys.
anyway, we're fine. But yeah, I am not this for you. I am up here for you. I'm one part of your. I'm one of your appetizers. I'm not your dinner. So this rain stick is the mother load of rain sticks. I got this. My friend Sherry Dumovich, who's one of your peers, showed me this on Etsy, and it's dangerous. I'm not going to show you the link to it. You can go down some rabbit hole, right? This is filled with millet, I think. I think it's a form of wheat.
I'm obsessed with it. I think it's the coolest thing.
It's also a bird feeder.
Like, is that what it
Yeah.
actually is? A bird feeder?
It's like legit a bird feeder.
It's like a... Is it a bird feeder?
So when I bought it, Dave was like, why did you buy a bird feeder on Etsy? And I was like, no, but they stuffed it full of wheat. And he's like, yeah, but it's still a bird feeder. Anyway, get creative and get a bird feeder. I'm not trying to knock this person. It's very creative. I think I'm happy I supported them financially, but Dave was like, that's legit a bird feeder.
Oh, like it's a rain stick made out of a bird feeder?
Yeah.
Got
like birds
it.
would come here and like, I'm gonna break it, Alexis, but like they would go here with their little.
Oh, I felt
and
like...
then they would put their beakers in here or something.
I felt like Jessica Simpson for a second. Like, is it chicken or is it tuna?
I don't know. It's like you put your little... I'm not a bird, but you put your little claws here or something and you get your little...
Well, I think it's really cool.
It's a rain stick.
Yeah, it's a rain stick.
And it goes on for, I think it's 90 minutes. So this one goes on forever.
I'm relaxed. Even just looking at it, seeing all the things going.
Jamie said if a bird feeder and Jenga had a baby. Yeah, well, listen, my mom, you know what I'm going to tell you? And Mom, I know you're in the spirit world, and you can probably hear me now. My mom was a drowning mom. My mom was trying to water us from underneath, and then thought we were all ungrateful when we said it was too much.
Yeah.
But you know what? She didn't get anything from her parents. When you don't have any love from your parents, what do you do to your children? You water them from underneath. And what happens? Your kids drown. And then they're like, get away from me already, right? So part of my work in the world with therapists and teachers and everybody else that I've worked with is I had a drowning mom who thought that was love because nobody gave her even a damn drop of water, right? And so now I'm like, well, what does good enough look like, right? Like, I don't want my kids to be like, oh shit, she's so overbearing, but I don't want them to feel unloved. So I do this whole dance where I'm like, is this good enough? And I don't have anybody to ask because it's like, I mean, who am I asking, right? So all you do is the best you can do, right? But my mom, I love my mom for all the ways she drowned us because to her that looked like love. And I'm still grateful for it, but it was too much, right? What are you doing? What are you thinking? Where are you? Open your door. Don't close your door, right? Like, don't go anywhere. Don't have friends. Don't, all the things, right? And so now I'm like, let the kids have the privacy, right? Give them a little space. Let them experiment. Let them have fun. but still tell them I'm always there. I'm here to take care of you. Like, what's the thing? Well, you can ask them, but then you don't want your kids driving the bus either. Right? Kids don't know what they need all the time, right? So you got to kind of feel into it and know that your kids signed up for this soul contract, and you'll ultimately give them exactly what they need for the contract they signed up for, right? I have to believe I'm doing the best I can, and then when I don't think I am, I course correct, right? I try. I do my best. One day my kids are going to need therapy. How will they not? Their mom is me. It's weird. I have bobcat paws on smudge fans. I have a dead hummingbird in a cage at home.
It's really
I do
beautiful.
moon ceremonies. I mean, how are my kids not going to need therapy one day?
It's more of like a coach sort of situation.
I always say my goal is to be able to help them pay for the therapy.
Or at least support the process, you know? I think that's the key.
The only way I know I'm kind of doing it right is that all my kids' friends want to be at my house. That's the only clue I have that I'm halfway doing it right. They all want to be at my house
Yeah.
when they have a chance. So I'm always like, you know, they wouldn't all want to be at my house if it was so weird, right? And I'm a good cook. And I'm funny, kind of.
You're pretty funny.
I'm pretty funny. And when I think I'm overdoing it, I step the fuck back. And I stop watering so much, right? Later on, they'll be like, I can't believe you did that. You're so weird. And I'll be like, I was totally weird. Whatever. You ready to decorate your rain stick? I always wanted to be the house that was the house, right? Yeah. I am the house that's the house.
She's a brick. How? No. She's a safe. How?
I am.
She's mighty.
Letting it all hang out.
Letting them all hang out at the house.
My house is the house. You already decorated yours? Okay. So, here's what we're going to do first. This is going to be, we're just going to take about 10 minutes. I love therapy, by the way, and I think it's really valuable.
Yeah, I see Christy saying that everyone should do therapy at some point. I agree, for sure.
Not all therapists are created equal. I've had some really shitty ones. I have a great one. I've been with her forever. I always say, are you sure you're not ready to quit me yet? And she's always like, you're going to quit me before I quit you. But my therapist is really special because, and yes, I am sucking my thread, but if you do embroidery, you'll understand. It brings all the little weird pieces
It's
together.
all together, yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
My therapist, I'm the only client she has who's not a therapist. She only is a therapist to other therapists. But she took me on because she said, you're kind of like a therapist because you help so many people. I'm really lucky. And she's not that far from retirement, so I don't know what I'm going to do when she retires, but
Tina, that's really sweet of you. Thank you.
thank you. Well, we love you guys. We do our best. Okay. So what I'm going to do with this, you can do whatever you want. Joyce on our team is such a better artist than I am. I love you, Joyce. I don't know how she does what she does. This is Martha Stewart. Mine's not going to look like that.
You always say that, and then it ends up looking beautiful.
No, I love you, Alexis, but it ends up looking like what it is. You know what I mean?
I have the camera set up if you want to use it. If you don't want to use it,
I don't want to use it. Okay, this is an industrial glue gun, by the way. I have a really shitty $3 Michaels one at home, so look at that. Don't act like you're not impressed. Right? Okay, so I'm just going to put I'm going to kind of look at where the thread is, or the cord is, where you would hold this. And by the way, you can hang this on your wall when you're not working with it, which I think is kind of cool. You can use it like an art piece, right? I'm going to go right in front of that, and I'm just going to put a drop of glue real quick, and I'm going to lay my thread down and get it in the glue. And I'll show you what that looks like. This is just the way I'm doing it. You can do it however you want. And I want your inspiration to guide you. Well, that was shitty. It didn't even work. Hold on. Put a bigger drop of glue there. Usually I craft with you at home. So I have my own shitty glue gun. This is like a professional tool. So it's making it a little bit harder for me, but I'm gonna make it happen for myself. And then just lay your thread down in the glue real quick. Okay. Like that. Okay. Yeah, the sound got better because my rain stick stopped. So yeah, that's why the sound got better. Okay. So I'm going to wrap this around 4 times, and I'm going to call in, there's multiple grooves here. Do you see that? I'm going to call in the 4 blessings of water, and you can do this with me if you want, or you can, do whatever you want to do. The first blessing of water is wealth. So, and I'm going to wrap it around clockwise, so I'm calling in wealth and abundance from all directions. Amen, aho, and so it is. That's the first blessing of water. So says Lakshmi, and I think she's right. The second blessing of water, I'm going to glue that little piece down. So calling in wealth. The second blessing of water, and yes, I just wiped the glue and I'm going to boop it off my finger. The second blessing of water is emotional healing and renewal. So I'm calling it emotional healing and renewal as I go around the second groove on my rain stick. Amen, aho, and so it is. Rain stick's still kind of going. Everybody's having challenges with their babies tonight. I love you guys. I'm so sorry. My kids are sick too. I totally see you. So thank you for being here. The third blessing of water is healing. So let's call in physical healing for all of us here. Water is what your body is primarily made of. So let's call in physical healing, abundance of healing for ourselves, for the collective. And then the part of water medicine that really resonates with me is nurturing. For me, love is someone I can cry with. If I can't cry with you, I probably don't feel that connected to you. The good news is I don't mind crying with almost anybody. I'm not a big crier, but if I need to cry, I will cry right in front of you. You've seen me do it before. I have no shame in my crying game. If I'm feeling it, it's coming out.
Yeah.
If people can't take it, then that's their problem. But if I need to cry, I'm gonna cry. Hater's gonna hate, crier's gonna cry. So, feeling really nurtured and loved and supported is the 4th turn around that wheel, and I'm gonna glue that right there. Being able to cry. Because you know what being able to cry in someone's presence means? It's not a show. If I don't cry in front of you when I'm really, really upset, do you really feel like we have intimacy? If I have to go somewhere else and cry, is that intimacy? No. If I go, oh, I'm okay, and then I go home and cry. No. When I was younger, I probably did that shit, but I'm too old for that now. I'm too old for that.
I'm too old for that.
If I'm feeling it, it's coming out. It's coming out. You know I'm gonna cry if I trust you, Lord. Shit's coming out. I'm about to let you know. I'm gonna let it show. I don't care. Because you know what I've learned is intimacy. When you're vulnerable with people, it shows them you're strong. People who aren't very strong feel like they have to hide everything. I just don't think that's the way to live your life.
Karen said OMG.
I know, it's horrible.
What? She loves her singing.
Is that Diana Ross?
The song? But
Yeah.
I'm coming now. Is it Diana?
Is it Pointer Sisters or Diana Ross?
Hold on, I want to look it up because I don't know. I want to say it's not Diana Ross, but I could be wrong.
Is it Pointer Sisters?
Oh, it is Diana Ross.
I'm gonna cry. I want the world to know sometimes my life's fucked up. Okay. Now, Joyce did this really pretty thing where she did like kyanite and blue lace agate and kyanite and blue lace agate, and they were all even and everything. I don't know if that's going to be me today. So, because I kind of want to cover up my my situation right
Your
here,
globs.
my globs. Although I do have my cabochon from this month, and it looks kind of pretty right there, doesn't it?
Oh.
But I kind of want to save my cabochon.
Yeah, I think everyone's saving their cabochons for the wand. Are you looking for something? You want me
I
to
don't
grab
know.
something for you?
What do I have that I could use? I don't know.
You
When I'm
trying
at
to
home, I have
delete?
all kinds of shit around me that I could use.
Oh yeah, you've got your little.
I'm just gonna put
costume.
I'll tell you something. I'm gonna put my kyanites on my rain stick, but I'm gonna put a blue lace agate right here, which is
Over
all
your
about throat
gloves.
chakra and creativity. So I'm gonna put that right there, which covers up my. I thought it was Diana. I'm sorry, Diana.
It was Diana.
It was, but I'm sorry to her.
What?
I heard today that Cher has a new boyfriend.
Oh really?
Mhm.
Good for her, right?
So happy for her.
I just hope he deserves her.
He's pretty cute.
Is he?
Yeah,
I
she's
did-
real happy. I honestly, at a certain age, I'm like, if he's making you happy, honey, you just go do that thing right now.
I'm looking up Cher's boyfriend.
Yeah. Yep. Cher's got a boyfriend. There's extras on the website. I know. I don't want to waste it though, but look how pretty. See? So it's all the 4 blessings of abundance, right? I love Cher too. Okay.
I don't know this guy.
Now. Yeah, that's him.
Good for her.
He's cute.
Good for her. and
Makes
for
her
him.
happy. That's all I care about. She's happy, great. He's watering her from above. He's not watering her from the roots. Okay. Oh, because I ruined Diana's song, Karina. That's why I was saying sorry to her. I took her beautiful song and I sang it terribly. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue my 4 kyanites. I'm going to put one right in the middle underneath my cabochon. Christine McVie from Fleetwood Mac passed away?
I didn't know that.
Are you serious?
Romantic.
No, this is like...
Yeah, I know. I had no idea. I'm looking it up right now. Oh, she did it
Today?
It said 1 hour ago, or I say 2 hours ago.
Let's keep crafting. I need to take a breath. I need to take a breath. Whew. She was not very old. How old?
79.
Okay, I'm gonna keep moving. Let's pray with our rain sticks. Let's do that. Oh my God. Okay. Wow. We'll do a little prayer. We'll do a prayer for all of our kids who are struggling and all of us who are struggling. Let's just keep moving. It's what we do as medicine people. Hold on. Wow. I'm going to put my first piece of kyanite here for balance. And I'm going to call in balance of my heart, mind, and spirit. Fleetwood Mac's a big part of my... I've seen them in concert 100 times. It's really hard. Those are the soundtracks to my life.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's really sad.
Okay. Let's turn it around to the second quarter here. We're going clockwise. I'm putting my next kyanite down here for, let's call in physical balance. I'm having some MS challenges right now, so I'm gonna call in physical balance. You can call in whatever you would like right here with this second one. For me, it's physical balance. Right there. No, I'm not. Cheryl, I know, but there's still a shock wave, right, darling? Just let me have a moment. As a shaman, I deal with death every day, but it's just, there's still a shock wave when you go, oof, oof, darling. Okay, third one, let's call in the balance of blessings, right? Easy come, easy go. I'm breathing. I'm breathing. That was just a lot. We're breathing. And then what I'm going to do, because really it was 3 that fit very securely there, I'm going to put 1 on the bottom here. Balance from below. May the earth hold us in her own divine chalice of balance, light, and love. Whenever you get shocking news, you inhale and you don't exhale, so you have to go. All right. I've been in meetings all day, so I didn't know. And then I'm going to put 1 more of the blue lace agate right on top. So we're calling in balance from below and creativity from above. That was a wave. We ride the waves. The spiritual teacher I was talking to you about earlier, she always calls us energy jockeys. Get on that horse and ride, baby. Come on, ride the train. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. It's okay. Okay. So here's mine. Simple but true. Karen said, and I would like to second that, we would love to see your pictures when you're done decorating. I probably am going to add a few more stones, I have to say, from home. Just because I'm not home today. Normally I would have probably added just a few more things, probably from my crystal healing tray. And because I am actually going to use and keep this tool, and it'll be very important to me for my practice. So I do want to add some things from my personal collection too. So we always get you started and then you take it in your own direction.
I like what you did with it.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
it's simple. But you know, the aura kyanites that we gave you are super pretty.
They're so pretty. The rainbow sheen on that is gorgeous.
They're really nice quality and they're very pretty. Kyanite is the only stone that instantly balances and aligns all 7 chakras. So what a great moment to hold, right? And to align, and to balance.
That's really perfect timing.
So yeah, from my heart center, I'm going to send Christine's spirit a big blessing tonight. May she cross that rainbow bridge in peace and in comfort. Amen, aho, and so it is. And a big breath there. And thanking her for the many years of beauty that she brought to my life and to all of our lives, truly. Okay, so now what I want to do, if you have your rain stick.
Are you done? Do you think you're done with the glues? Oh, okay. I'll do this first and then I'll turn it off. I just don't want to forget to unplug it, but I'll do it after.
I'm going to turn it off, though.
Oh, is there an off switch?
No.
No, I think I should just
There's a low.
Yeah. Don't mind
Alexis
me.
is being, we're a mom and making sure that we, Kimberly's like, I made a stringy mess. She's going to make sure we don't leave this on all night long, which is really lovely.
I'm that person that checks my hair straightener 5 times before leaving the house.
Well, guess what you're getting for Christmas from me then is one that automatically shuts off. My kids only have appliances that auto shut off. I'm not playing that game. I'm serious. My OCD, I can't with that. Right. So anyway, okay. Blessed are the peacemakers, the music makers, the rainmakers. Sit up nice and straight, roll your shoulders back, call your energy into present time. So, the traditional way to work with your rain stick, as I said, is to hold it diagonal and then move from diagonal to diagonal, 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 diagonal to diagonal, right? Before tonight, I want to turn 3 times with you. You know, 3 is such a sacred number. And I'm working with a new teacher this year. I've talked to you about him before. He's really interesting. I've only worked with him 4 times. But he gave me all these other metaphors for the triad, like proton, neutron, electron. In every atom.
Proton, neutron, electron.
Yeah. He's like, oh, that Holy Trinity thing, that's just not just maiden, mother, crone. He gave me this whole list of like other correspondences, and that was so interesting. Like, yeah, like every cell in your body, every atom in physics is made up of the tripartite structure, right? So the 3 is so sacred, and not just for the reasons we've always thought of it, right? So we're going to turn it 3 times. The first time we turn it, I want you to be really mindful each time we do this, okay? The first time we turn it is to heal the emotional wounds and pain and heartache of the past that's ready to be healed. I'm not talking about picking ripe fruit off a tree. Don't go chasing waterfalls, okay? But I'm just talking about like old stuff that you're ready to release from the past. As we turn it, we're going to turn it up and down 1 time together. I want you to release everything from the past that's ready to be released tonight. You ready with me? Really think about that. What is it from the past? Anything that needs to be cleansed. Think about the rain. I mean, it looks like it's going to rain outside right now, right? When the rain comes, right, and it clears everything, it cleans everything, right? What is it from the past that really is ready to be cleared out for you? You ready to clear it once and for all? So deep breath in. And exhale. And then another good deep breath right there. Now everything from the present that's really ready to be released. This could be yours, that could be somebody else's, but anything that just feels like, you know, I'm not really holding on to that anymore. It's not my work anymore. I'm really ready to let that go. I've been carrying it around for too long anyway. Everything from the present, inhale. And exhale. And then just a normal breath right here. And then are you ready for the hardest one? Remember, there's no future. It's all happening right now. We just are humans and we don't have good language. Anything that you have yet to experience that already needs to be cleared.
That's a good one.
It's deep. Maybe you don't have to walk all the way through that fire, right? You ready? Inhale. And exhale. And together we say, Amen, Aho, another triad, right? So it is.
So it is.
Amen, Aho, and so it is. Now again, you can do that anytime. This is now your new rattle. You can do the figure 8. You can bring it through your whole energy field, behind you, around you, under you, above you, right?
That does make a really great rattle, too.
It's a great rattle. Rain sticks are always great rattles.
Now rattle that one.
Shake it up, you gotta shake it up. No, I'm not touching that anymore because it misbehaves and it doesn't stop. That bird feeder thing is kind of a contraption. Yeah, right? Okay, so, and if you have your potion from last month, I want to wait and do mine at home because I actually have my perfume that I actually blended. This is ours here at the office, but I do want to. I have a separate one at home that I made too, so I'm going to anoint mine 3 times. You can do the same thing when you're at home. Okay. Actually, this is the one I blended here, but I do have one I blended at home, and it's, for me, it's energetically a little more potent. Okay. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. Enchanted Sage that I learned in Ayurveda, everything has 5 elements: fire, electron; earth, physical matter; air, the motion of the cell; water, the liquid of the cell; and ether, or space, which is in the cell. Beautiful. I love that. Yeah, and you can make rain sticks too. Yeah, so everything this entire month is about your throat chakra and the water element. So remember, tones of blue, Joy, are all about water medicine. So that's why the stones are blue and the thread is blue. I want to make sure you know every single dot on your rain sticks was placed by hand in Bali. Did you know that? Every single dot was done in meditation by an artist. Every single dot by hand. So cheers to Team SG and Merlin on our team. Yes, the woman who's in charge of putting our kits together's name is Merlin.
We love Merlin. I mean, how perfect is that? And she really is a magician.
She is a magician. She is a Merlin.
And her makeup looked really pretty today.
She's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
You would love her, you a Merlin. But she did that. Mm-hmm. I have a Choya rain stick from Joshua Tree, but I'm going to send Rachel a message from the old classroom. I can't find it. I haven't seen it since we moved.
What was it?
My Choya, my rain stick. My cactus from Joshua Tree.
Was it? Oh, the big one?
Uh-huh. I've never seen it since we moved. I think it's probably up in the warehouse somewhere.
Yeah.
But I miss it and I need it. So cheers, Merlin. Yeah, so some of you got pink string, which is okay. That's your heart chakra, right? And then some of you got rainbowy string, which is all the things, right? Your kits for next year are going to be beautiful. Stay tuned. You'll see all about them. Your Crystalpedia tool for the new Crystalpedia class is a black kyanite ring in sterling silver. I put it on today and I was like, we were all like, this is straight up Game of Thrones and it's adjustable. You ever had a black kyanite ring? I haven't. Anyway, rabbit hole time. Blue lace agate, Susan, is the stone of the muse. So it's all about creative inspiration. You know, in Greek mythology, the muse is a spirit that comes to you. And it kind of blows through the ether and through the wind. And the legend is you have to chase the muse, right? You have to keep up with the muse. Yeah. And I completely redesigned. So I always wanted to do a different kind of perfume and incense for Sage Goddess than we've ever done before. So Living Scent has each month a living mist and a living incense. And you get samples in your Living Magic tools, and then there'll be full sizes if you want them. But they're totally different than anything I've ever made with you before. Anyway, there's more of that to come on Friday. No, the tools have not gone up that much. It's, what is it, $10 a kit or something like that?
Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking the Soul Shift tools, I think the Soul Shift tools are going to be $111.
Yeah, Living Magic, which is the new Soul Shift, is $111, and then Crystalpedia tools are $44.
$44.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how we did that.
Yeah.
Not even raising your tools by more than like $10.
And you guys, when you see the January tools, like, I'm not giving anything away right now, but
we made you a Labradorite Lazy Susan.
Athena.
I did it. We made you a Labradorite flipping Lazy Susan.
And it's beautiful too. It's beautiful Labradorite. But we're not saying anything else.
Okay, I'm shutting up now. Do you have a Labradorite Lazy Susan? If you don't know what a Lazy Susan is, then we have to talk about that later. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm getting in so much trouble. I'm shutting up. Whatever. I'm always in trouble. I'm always in trouble. Okay, ask me something that's not about next year's programs. Ask me something about aliens or, I don't know, Diana Ross or something else. I know. But I'm supposed to shut up. Later Dave's gonna be like, what the hell? I thought you weren't gonna tell anybody.
Yeah, we're not revealing anything else that hasn't been revealed. So if you guys want to make good use of your rabbit hole time, I suggest asking different questions.
Me something else. Yeah, Alexis is like, Athena fucked up. Shit.
No, that's not. I was actually messaging Merlin asked me a question, and so I was telling her the sweet things that you guys were saying.
We love you, Merlin. Have I ever made my own rain stick? I have actually. I'm not a good maker of things, but there are people who make amazing rain sticks. What I would tell you is if you want to go down that rabbit hole, go on Etsy. I'm doing most of my holiday shopping on Etsy. People in my life are getting Sage Goddess stuff and Etsy stuff this year. I like homemade stuff. I found a lady on Etsy who makes her own olive oil. Like, I just thought that was really cool. So, like,
that is really cool.
Like really special, unique flavors of olive oil. I love to cook, and a couple of my friends really love to cook. So I found this lady who makes like super magical olive oils. I just like to support artists and small businesses. So, okay.
I saw an interesting.
Jolene, we have not. I have not tried the Moldavite, Libyan, Tektite, and Agni Monatite combo. Have you tried it? Because I'm actually really curious if that worked for you. I would love to know more about it. We are behind the scenes. We are talking about making like a piece of jewelry with that, but we haven't made any progress yet.
I wasn't telling on it. I really was not telling on Athena. You guys. Someone was like, she's typing so fast. Did you see Chris's question up a little bit? I think that.
Chris Heaton, Athena, my daughter needs therapy. She's gifted and can communicate with guys. She's afraid she'll be diagnosed as schizophrenic because of her gifts. Any guidance? So Chris Heaton, first of all, I'm honored that you would ask me, and I'm probably not the most educated person to answer this for you, but I'll give you my 2 cents. I think you need to find a therapist who's also an energy worker to work with your daughter. I've never been to a therapist or a psychiatrist or anybody who wasn't also an energy worker. And you can find them. And what's really cool about today's world is because of telemedicine and virtual Zoom appointments and stuff, you're not really bound to like whoever's in your neighborhood. The people I work with don't take clients anymore. And honestly, my therapist is like, Athena, I don't even have anybody to refer you to because everybody's got more clients than they can handle right now. But put out the feelers. Just make sure it's somebody who can really look at things holistically is what I would say. In the past, a lot of us would have been deemed kind of nuts, right? I mean, I don't know if this resonates with you, but I just think a lot of us would have been seen as kind of crazy, right? Like, I hear spirits, or I can see spirits, or I sense spirits. Like, what? You do what with what? So what I would say is find somebody who's going to be able to hear and see your daughter from a full perspective, and not just somebody who's a very traditional clinician to be able to support her. Depression and anxiety are very serious, but here's what I do want to tell you, and I kind of want to tell everybody this. I don't know anybody right now, me personally. You may know people who are just flying high right now. And you may too. You may know people who are doing just great.
I don't think I know anyone that's doing this great.
Everybody I know in my whole life right now is either anxious, depressed, or both. Now, that could be because people are really honest with me and they don't sugarcoat things and go, no, I'm fine. Because I don't have people around me who are like the no, I'm fine kind of people. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to hear that. And I don't want people to make up stories for me. But I really don't know anybody right now who isn't a little bit anxious, a little bit scared, a little bit depressed, a little bit down and discouraged. I mean, but let me open up the top of the funnel to give you a broader perspective. Because again, this is why I work with spiritual teachers from different traditions. Our planet every 29,000 years or so goes through a massive upgrade. And you can Google this and rabbit hole this and go down all the rabbit holes you want to, and we could talk about it tonight. I don't know if you know how many solar flares have happened in the last 12 months. We are moving between dimensions right now. And that doesn't mean that we're going to like go up to the sky or that, that we're going to like leave our bodies. It means that our dimensional realities are shifting. Our kids are inundated. I will tell you right now, if there was social media before the age of 18 for me, I don't know how well I would be doing. Me personally. I think it would have absolutely blitzed my central nervous system. I had a hard enough time being a teenager without social media and we had like 3 channels on our television. We didn't have cable. Like, I don't know if I would have been okay. So the fact that our kids are just inundated with information, and then their friends have information, and then there's Snapchat and everything disappears in 24 hours, and now they're on whatever it is, Be Real, and you know what I mean? Like and they all have their Snap locations and things. Like, I think I would have had a really hard time. So what I tell my kids is I have so much respect for them for trying to manage, and that I want to provide them as much support as I can to be able to manage the absolute inundation of perspectives and information, and a lot of it's not accurate, and then they're hearing things from other people, and there's pressures, and then there's hormones, right? There's the whole internal process that happens too. Like, how do you navigate all of that? So ask your spirit guides to direct you to someone who's going to be able to provide holistic support to your child, and you will find the person that you need. But, and I do think that kids today are probably built for something different than you and I were built for, and they probably are more equipped. I mean, but I wasn't equipped. I think I would have just spontaneously combusted. I have so much respect for my kids. So when my kids come to me and tell me, Mom, I'm so overwhelmed, or like, how do I handle this? I'm always like, God, just hats off to you. I'm here for you. I love you. I'm going to support you. I know how much this is, and I'm an adult and I have trouble with it sometimes. And both of my kids have told me it's really comforting to hear me say that. That, sometimes it's too much for me too. Why don't we all shut our phones off? Why don't we all shut our computers off tonight? You know what I mean? Like, why don't we take a break? Why don't we go out in nature? I do picnics with my kids sometimes. We did it last weekend, where we order food and we just go outside and sit on the grass. No blanket, just butt on the grass with food. Like, seriously, like some of these simple things that I used to do with my parents, and it seems so simple, and I think, oh, the kids are going to be like, I don't want to do that. Like, they're like, oh, please, let's go outside and eat our food with like just no phones and no, you know what I mean? I don't have all the answers. Rebecca Klein is giving us some insight here. State boards can give you information about providers who practice philosophy, or their practice philosophy, and find someone open-minded. We do have therapists and clinicians in our community who might be able to give us some additional guidance here, which I really, really appreciate. Get your kids in nature, teach them about what you're learning. You're not here learning about the elements tonight so that you can shut up and then never tell your kids about this. You know what I mean? Like, you should be teaching your kids, right, about earth, air, fire, and water, and how they need to. I taught Zoe how to burn incense from a very young age. I taught her how to ground. My kids have crystals. We go out in nature. Like, get them back to some of these basics in their practice, because it may seem really simple to them, but one of these days, that's they're gonna come back to that, and they're gonna remember that you gave them those eternal, simple but very practical tools for how to manage the energy. It's never going to get old to ground your energy. It's never going to get old to center yourself. It's never going to get old to go in the shower and cry until you can't stop crying, because that feels good.
Sometimes it really does.
Showers are magic. I hate showers, but I still do it when I need to. It's never going to get old to go into a really quiet room and scream. What I do, here's my tool, because I'm a writer. I bought myself on Amazon for about $20 a shredder.
Oh.
Teach your kids this tool. $20. I bought myself a shredder. It's a shitty ass shredder. It only shreds 2 pages at a time or it chokes up, but whatever. I write down everything that I need to get out of my system, no matter what it is, and I shred it. Give your kids, for Christmas, Hanukkah, Yule, whatever, if they're teenagers, give them a shredder, a notebook, and a pen, and go write it down. You don't have to share it with me or anybody else. Write it all down, shred it. I'll never look at it. Get it out of your system. I also talk about chair therapy, right? Like, put a chair down in front of you, pretend that that's the person who needs to hear all your truth, and give it to the chair. I like shredders because I don't have to light anything on fire, and I don't want to give my kids a lighter right now. You know what I mean? But when they're older, they can burn it, and that's a ceremony. But shred that shit. I'm not going to read it. You don't need to read it. You don't need to hold it, but it's out of your body. If they don't like to write, then tell them to tell it to the chair. If they don't like to tell it to the chair, tell them to go in the shower and cry it out. If they don't like to do that, tell them to go outside and on the ground, right? But everybody has to get energy out of the system, because no matter how modern we are, no matter how many TikToks we watch, no matter how many reels on Instagram we watch, we still have the same central nervous system, and it is overloaded by too much information. But seriously, all I want for Christmas is a shredder from Amazon, a shredder from Amazon, a shredder from Amazon, right? And if you tell them, because I like my kids to have some privacy, I'm not going to read it. I don't need to read it unless you want me to. If you want me to read it, that's different. But if you're just getting shit out, shred it. Right? What do I think pain is about in your feet?
Good question.
Well, you know where your feet connect, right? Fire Magic is the Earth Star Chakra. It's about disconnected from the planet. Your root chakra, pain in your rectum and your colon and your, like ulcerative proctitis and hemorrhoids, that's you being disconnected from you. You know that, right? Pain in your feet and your lower legs is about you being disconnected from the planet. When people get edema in their ankles and they have ankle pain and foot pain and all the bursitis and all those things, that's about them not being connected to the earth. They need to go outside. They need to ground. We always laugh at like tree huggers, but like tree huggers are happier and healthier than most of us, right? It's like, give it to the planet. I always teach you about Pachamama, right? Like she's there, and you cannot overwhelm her. You can keep giving and keep giving and keep giving and keep giving, and she's right there. Give your kids a safe place to put their shit that isn't in their body and isn't with you. It's really important. And give yourself that same safe space. Get it out of your body. I want you to get it out of your body because I want you to be here. And the more it sits in your body, whether it's in your feet or in your legs or whatever, right? That's exactly right. Daylene said, and she's so wise, any pain is pay attention. Any pain is your body going, stop. We're done. And then you look at where the pain is. If it's on the right side of your body, that's your masculine. So that's your father's lineage. That's you trying to be too masculine, trying to be too direct, you're trying to overachieve, whatever. If it's on your left side, that's your mother's lineage, or you trying to take on too much or hold too much, or feel too much or whatever. What side is it on? Where is it sitting? What chakra level is it at? Right? Migraines are, you not being connected enough to your creator and your spirit guides, and you not asking for help. So your head is like, until you're like, okay, help me. Like, I can't do this by myself. Yeah. It's a lot, right? Nerve damage. Well, Christine Rogers, so I have nerve damage, right? From MS. So damage to your nerves is, in Chinese medicine, they say that nerve damage is prolonged, you ready for this? Prolonged and sustained exposure to fear. That's what Chinese medicine says about fibro, about MS, and about any damage to your nerves and your central nervous system. So then you got to work with the energy of fear. So sodalite, kyanite, right, bringing fear into balance, balancing fear with trust, right, releasing fear through the central nervous system, training and toning the vagus nerve, VAGUS nerve, which I've taught you many times. Nerve damage is your central nervous system saying, enough. No more fear, no more anxiety. We're not going to, without exhaling, right? That's your central nervous system saying, we cannot do this anymore. And I'll tell you something, my neurologist is the head of neurology at Cedars-Sinai Hospital, which is one of the best hospitals in the world. And when I told her that theory, she said, she said to me years ago, Athena, I think you're right. I think you're right. We don't have proof. She's like, I can give you all the studies and tell you what's happening and where certain parts of your brain and your spinal column and everything, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's wrong. Fear and stress. I mean, what does it do to your body? It sends your entire central nervous system into shock, and then you develop cortisol, so you gain weight right through the middle, right, which puts you at higher risk for heart attack and diabetes, right? I mean, fear and stress are the absolute. My mom had spinal stenosis, Christine, and she lived her entire childhood in fear because she was abused. So I'm just saying, like, that I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not a psychotherapist, and so I'm not going to pretend to be those things for you tonight. I can't prove these things to you. But I have enough therapists and medical doctor friends who have said, here's my theory, what do you think? And they're like, I can't prove it, but it sounds pretty accurate. So take your medicine and then knock off the stress and stop being afraid of everything all the time. It's interesting, isn't it? And then look at the side of your body, look at the chakra that it's happening to, right? Cheryl Cole, could a map and a pendulum help locate a missing person? There's a 14-year-old in her town. So there are people who do remote location. I don't have any friends who do it now. I have a friend who did it. She's retired, though. So you could look up remote locators. They use different divination tools. Some of them are professionals in that capacity. And so why not give it a go? That's not my gift, but I don't discount anything because I've just seen miracles, right? So what is hip pain, right? Hip pain is the solar plexus and the sacral chakra, and the left side is your receiving side. Where are you not feeling empowered? Where are you not feeling strong, right? Where are you not feeling like your desires are being met, right? Lauren says she's having fever, muscle aches as she speaks, right? So, and usually muscle aches, fever, and stuff, flu type symptoms is your immune system being overloaded. So then you have to go full stop into how do I support my immune system. Right now we have COVID and flu and a lot of other things that are attacking the human immune system. So there could be just sort of a general assault on your immune system for you to look at. And so it's time to kind of, I always say stop, drop, and roll. You know what I mean? Like slow down the energy that's moving through, breathe into it, take everything, I love echinacea, I love zinc, I love vitamin C for moments like these. Hydrate as much as you can because you want to flush toxins through the system. But again, I don't want to play a doctor on TV. I'm really not. Still see your clinicians. And I'm that person, like, I have really good doctors. I just saw my doctor today. He's been my doctor since I was 15 years old. So it's going on 35 years. 15. He was my mom's doctor until she died. When I called him and told him that she had passed away, he was hysterical.
It's so sad.
You think of doctors as being really clinical because she died from a heart procedure that he approved her for. We went to him as a last resort, like, are you sure she's strong enough to go through this? And we called him afterward and said, I wanted to let you know Mom passed away. And it was complete silence on the phone. And he could not stop sobbing. And he was just like, Athena, I promise you, like, hopefully and he just kept going, he couldn't get the words out. Smartest man I've ever known. But I saw my own doctor today. I take his advice. So I will always tell you, I believe in Western medicine. I really do. I still believe in him. I think my mom, it was her time. And that's what I told him too. I'm like, dude, you're the best man I know. I have his cell phone number. I texted him when my dad had high blood pressure a couple weeks ago. He responds to my texts within minutes. Like, how many doctors give you their cell phone number? So I texted him yesterday because I wasn't feeling well. And I talked to him this morning. But anyway, see your doctor. You know what I mean? I trust my doctor with my life. And when he retires in a few years, what I've told him is I'm pretty much going to camp out outside of his house. I know where he lives. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to stalk him. But he is the smartest man I've ever met, medical doctor-wise. And I had to tell him, I think it was Mom's time to go. But he couldn't catch his breath. He was like, but I I was like, I know, man. Right? No, Boonton is not. This doctor, Boonton's okay, but Boonton is not him. Boonton is not my favorite. He's a good doctor, but he's not this person. So get rest, get water, get vitamins, hydrate, flush the shit out of that stuff, and go see your doctor. Let's see. Stenosis sucks, you guys. Holy shit. Yeah, nerve damage sucks. Stenosis sucks. So chakra and pain centers. So Sarah Ryan's asking. So your root chakra, that's your rectum. I mean, I don't like to talk about poop and things all the time, but I will talk about it. If you're constipated, if you have rectal pain, if you have anything in the lower intestine, that's your root chakra. The root chakra develops between the ages of 0 and 5. So trauma, when you're a very small child, can be healed, but a lot of times people with trauma between the ages of 0 and 5 end up with, IBS and Crohn's disease and things like that. Your sacral chakra develops between the ages of 5 and puberty. That's where my trauma was between, puberty and like age 16, 18 from bullying. So that's why I have sacral and solar plexus stuff, right? Your heart chakra develops right around the time you get into primary relationships. So that's your 20s, right? Your throat chakra develops in your late 20s, early 30s. Your third eye really develops in your mid 30s to late 30s. That's when your intuition gets really strong. So those of you who are in your 20s and your early 30s, and I'm like, I don't see anything, I don't feel anything. I'm like, wait till you're like 37, 39. And then your crown chakra is your 40s. It's like, who am I? Why am I here? Who's God? Is there a God? And then your 50s and 60s are about really kind of like healing everything that didn't go right in those early developmental stages. I do have a YouTube video on this, by the way, somewhere in the archives about the chakras, and because I taught it for parents to help understand, because a lot of times our kids go through trauma and there's nothing we can do about it, right? My parents didn't want me to be bullied, but I was, and so I ended up with stomach problems in the upper intestine, right, which is developing around the solar plexus at the puberty stage. So, depending on where you have chronic pain, it can be a sign and a symptom of these different developmental stages, and then the chakras and how they're developing at these different stages and phases of life. And like I said, every medical doctor I've talked to seriously about this has said, you know what, I've seen enough over these years. There's got to be something to it. I can't prove it, I can't give you data to support it, but there's got to be some connection, right, between the energy and the physical manifestations. Yeah, I'm going back through your questions here. And if there's something that's really jumping out at you, please let me know too, Alexis and Karen.
I am looking for the video right now, but Karen is there.
Catherine's asking, if I need compassion, can water magic help me? Yes. And what's the best way to work with it? So, like I said, Catherine, I don't like water. I don't really like to drink it. I don't like to take a shower in it. But you know what I do like, Catherine? I like baths. Because my head never goes in it and I can kind of control it. And I like to put salt in it. Magnesium is really good for you. My friend who died a couple of years ago, I don't know if you guys remember this, my second boyfriend in 7th grade, his name was Tim. And, I missed him every day. It wasn't a serious relationship, like it wasn't a physical relationship. We were young. We were 11. But I kept in touch with him for all those years. During COVID, He was so sweet. When everything was shut down, he knows I love lemons and oranges, and he lived in Central California, and his dad lives just a few streets over from where I live. And every time he would visit his dad, he would bring me a bag of lemons and a bag of oranges from Ojai. It was like once a week during COVID. Just a good soul. And he was a really good medicine person. Really, he was a shaman. He never called himself that. I love you, Tim. I miss you every day. So why am I sharing this with you? It's funny to think back about all of this. He was the one who taught me, and the way he put it was very crude in your own way, Tim. He used to go, because during COVID, everybody was depressed, and he's like, how much magnesium are you taking? And I would tell him, and he's like, that's not enough milligrams. And then he used to say, women go crazy without magnesium. And I was like, what about men? And he's like, yeah, men too, but ladies go crazy without magnesium. And it's funny because I haven't been taking magnesium regularly. Magnesium softens your stools. It's a soother and relaxer of the muscles. And it's funny because Karen Brown and I were chatting. Sometimes we chat late at night by text. We were chatting, was it last night or night before last, Karen? Because I was having muscle pain and nerve pain. And she was like, magnesium keeps coming to me for you. And I swear, Tim died 2 or 3 years ago now. And I swear I could hear Tim going, ladies go crazy without magnesium. And I remember going, what about men? So anyway, magnesium so Epsom salt in your bath water, if you do it every night, helps to clear your energy field, and it absolutely calms you, relaxes you. There's no side effects. If you're constipated, it'll move your bowels. I mean, again, we're talking about poop tonight, but whatever, it's the rabbit hole. I have, literally at home, I have gallons of Epsom salt. And it's not sexy what I do. It's a handful in the bathtub every night. And I add different oils. I like Master Healer in the wintertime because it's got all like the sinus clearing oils. We have a new blend. You guys haven't seen it yet. It's called Root Beer Butt Scrub. Okay, when you see this product at sagegoddess.com, it's coming in like 2 days. Don't judge me, but buy it. It is my cellulite blend that I've been using since I was in my 20s. In my 20s, I had cellulite, and I really didn't like it. And I remember going on a trip with my boyfriend I was dating at the time, and I had cellulite on my thighs, and I was all self-conscious about it. And my friend, who was an aromatherapist, she's since passed away, she was like, here are the oils you need for cellulite. I haven't sold that blend before. So finally this year I was like, and I have it at home. And I add a couple drops too, like if my skin doesn't feel smooth. I don't have cellulite anymore because of my butt scrub. So anyway, I'll add Master Healer, or we're calling it the Root Beer Butt Scrub. We actually made you the scrub, but we're going to offer you the oil too, so you can just get the root beer blend. We're calling it that because it smells like root beer, because there's one of the oils in it, birch, smells like root beer. There's others in there too. So when you see Root Beer Butt Scrub, that's what that's about. So I add a couple of drops. So I keep my gallon of Epsom salt, and then I add my SG oils depending on what it is. So if my sinuses are clogged up, I'll put Master Healer. If my skin feels kind of rough and not smooth, then I'll put my butt scrub in it. I know this is so weird, but maybe it'll help you. I love that. Katrina says, I tell my kids to go sit on their chakra chair for a few minutes, and I tell them to come and give me a hug. Mm-hmm. Interesting. What do you do with a crystal that you don't have space for anymore? You can't display everything. Do you get rid of them? I never get rid of crystals unless they tell me to, because the biggest regrets of my life have been getting rid of things that I didn't have space for. So here's a quick story on this. So when David and I first moved from our apartment into our first house, this was 100 years ago, I was trying to clear up and clear out and like make space for stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm growing up now, right? Like I don't need all my things from when I was a kid. And I gave away and sold a couple of crystals from my earliest collecting days. Not the most important ones, but some of them. It wasn't even a year ago I saw a picture from our first apartment before we moved, and I don't have any of those crystals anymore, and I sat and cried like a baby. Aww. Put them go on Amazon, get yourself a little Tupperware bin and put them somewhere. Don't sell your things that matter to you unless you have to. But just because you're not using them anymore doesn't mean they're not using you. You know what I mean? Big regret. Now sometimes I have things that like ask to go to a new home. Like a couple of pieces of jewelry in last night's sale were from my personal collection, but those were ready. Like, that's different. This was me saying, I'm a grown-up now. I don't need my crystals from when I was a teenager. And I'm like, holy shit. Why did I do that? They were nothing special. I couldn't afford anything when I was young. It was an amethyst cluster and a little...
No.
It might, a couple of things that you would not shake a stick at, but I'm telling you, when I see people on Facebook selling their crystals, I always hope it's because they need money. I mean, I hope it's not because they're just like, well, I don't have space for that anymore.
Yeah.
Because your crystals are like, wait.
I want to stay with you.
I'll be good, right?
Oh, don't say that. I'll be good.
Well, no, I mean, I really, when I looked at that picture, there was a little candle holder and a couple of crystals, and I seriously, I can't look at the picture anymore. I'm just like, this is messed up. I should never have done that. Yeah, I agree. Marty says magnesium is one that's hard to measure. It's super hard to measure, and so most people need a supplement. So after Karen Brown and I had our late night text chat about magnesium, and I channeled my friend Tim from the dead, I went on Amazon and just got some gummies.
Oh, magnesium gummies.
Yeah.
No,
I can show you what the ones I got.
I don't really take magnesium at all. Maybe I should be doing that.
I don't know. I don't
That's
have my
okay.
phone.
You can show me later.
I can show you later. I did a little research on Amazon. I found the ones that were highest rated. They're shaped like little raspberries. I don't know what the brand is.
I do love raspberry.
But if you're constipated, you need magnesium. Don't take a stool softener until you try magnesium, because it's softer on your system, and you'll be amazed, and you'll feel calmer. You won't feel as stressed. And it doesn't have all the side effects of the other things that are calming you, You do the gummies too. Well, maybe tell me hey, Karen, text me your brand. Maybe I don't know if I got the right brand. Let me know. And Lauren has a chewable. I would like a chewable. I'd rather have a chewable than a gummy. Can you send me your chewable link? And Lala Vigil says it helps with headaches too. So what will I do with all my jewelry and crystals when I die? If you have no one to pass them on to. When Zoe was little, I asked her, I'm like, Zoe, I have a lot of crystals and a lot of jewelry. What are you going to do one day with them? And she goes, oh, I'm going to give it all away. And at the time I was like, she was like 5. I was like, what? And what my friend taught me is there are people who will take care of your estate, your gem and mineral and jewelry estate, if you don't have heirs. And so it's an interesting story. So some of my crystals came from an estate from somebody who died about 25 years ago. And she left a business card of my friend in her crystal collection. And when she passed away, the person in charge of her estate called that number. My friend sold them all and gave the money to her, whoever she designated as her heir. So you could leave a business card of someone who does that kind of work. I don't know anybody right now that you could do that for. But I do recommend that you maybe choose a charity or someone who might benefit from them. The other thing is, in my will, I've started to delineate what I want certain things to go to. Because there's a certain ring I have that I want my son to give to his partner one day as an engagement ring. It's my ruby, if you've seen it. And so anyway, I'm somebody who talks openly about that stuff because we're all human and we can't take it with us. So if you're open to those conversations, I think it's good to have those conversations. And that way nobody's like, oh, well, who did she want that to go to or whatever. I think the more you can be, I don't know if it's morbid, but the more you can be open about that. Natural Vitality Calm Gummies. Who knew, right? I've told Nick he doesn't have to give that ring to his person, but it's like the one that because he's a Cancer rising, I've always just wanted him to have my ruby. And it's a Burmese ruby. It's very rare. His partner may be like, I don't want that thing, but whatever, then they can sell it. And I've told him that too. I love that we're all talking about magnesium. Like, we're all going to poop better and sleep better, and our muscles aren't going to ache as much. Alexis and I were talking, neither of us can really do cannabis edibles because we both get anxiety attacks from it.
Yeah, I can't smoke. I can't eat it.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
It makes us anxious. But magnesium is a whole different situation.
Yeah, and CBD has been working wonders.
CBD
for
without
me.
THC is good too.
It really has been. It's I will go as far as to say is it's been kind of life changing for me. I just started like a week and a half ago. It'll be 2 weeks on Sunday.
She's been having a really good experience with it. So
It's helping.
all right, thank you, Lauren, for that. I appreciate it. Do you take CBD every day?
Yeah.
That's good to know. So magnesium, CBD, if it's legal where you are. CBD is not psychoactive. It's just Alexis and I can't really tolerate the rest of it. But I think it's because we've just been through so much with grief and stuff that it's overwhelming to our system.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I need to be focused most of the time, so I can't really do the funky town things anymore. Amber's like, you can put me in your well and I'll take care of them. Yeah, I love that.
Ghost Gloria, I have been using OM CBD.
Oh, that's good.
OM. I highly recommend it. It's it's just their tincture. And then I have a package coming from another company called Pure Spectrum, who are apparently known for their CBD products. And I have a pack of CBD mints coming, which I thought that would be really nice just to like use during the day if needed. And then also a tranquil elixir for nighttime. So
I have heard there's CBD plus magnesium. I have heard of that. I don't know where to get it. Or what that would be like. But if anybody knows about CBD and magnesium with no THC, that would be very interesting to me and Alexis.
Yeah, definitely. I do not want the THC.
If you're having anxiety, it can kind of ramp your anxiety. You just got to be careful, you know what I mean? So, oh, Randy Stearns, your wedding ring is a Burmese ruby. I want to see it. And thank you, Karen Motes, for being there last night. It was super magical. I cannot wait. I don't expect you're going to send me like a video or anything, but like maybe a picture of your mom with the pendant would just, I can't even tell you how much it would just light up my heart. I gave away a quartz monk angel pendant with a ruby to Karen for her mom last night. It was just like we were all crying. So if you weren't there, that happened, and it was really, really sweet. Yeah, well, you know what? There are people who would love your goodies one day. You may not realize that, but there are people who would love to receive your treasures one day. Or you can just be like a straight up pharaoh and just ask to be buried with all of them. It's creepy, I know. When we die, do we take our wisdom and knowledge with us? I absolutely believe that we do. I have certain things, Cheryl Cole, that I know how to do in this life, and I can't explain it to you. You know what I mean? I came in, like, knowing multiple languages. I came in, my mom, I learned how to read when I was 2. Like, full sentences. I was reading, my mom used to brag, I was reading the newspaper at 2 years old. I went to my mom when I was about 9 months old. I started talking. My mom, if she was here, would tell you. And I went to her close to a year old and I said, you're going to teach me how to read. And she was like, okay. And I still have them. She made these things called word worms. Bless her heart, man. So she made these things. My mom wasn't a teacher, but she worked shit out. So she made these little pieces of paper like this. And she would put like I, and then am, and then like happy. And I still have them. They had masking tape stuck between them. And she would give me the little pieces of paper and tell me to go stick them on the wall and take the masking tape and make a sentence. So she would teach me I, and then say, go put that on the wall, and then say, am or have or whatever, give me a verb, and then I would go put that on the wall, and she would say, take your tape and you stick it, and then she would let me take, once I made a whole sentence, like I am happy, then she let me take the sentence off, and that was my prize. By 12 months old. And so I was walking and I was putting words on the wall. I mean, my kids at 12 months old, God bless you guys if you ever hear this one day, but like you weren't doing that. My kids at 12 months old were still learning how to eat. So it's just like some kids have this natural facility with language, right? My kids have it with other things. Zoe, at 9 months old, I would put a piece of paper down on her high chair and markers and crayons, and she was drawing like whole like things, like civilizations, worlds, rainbows, things. She had manual dexterity with both hands. She would write with her color with her right hand and color with her left hand, like. And the doctor was like, yeah, she's ambidextrous and she's artistic. Like, what? I couldn't do that at 9 months old, but I was making word worms. So how do you know those things if it isn't coming from some past life, right? We all have our gifts. To this day, she's an artist. I fucking suck at art. I could barely make a rain stick with you tonight and stick some stones on it, right? But I can write you a book in about 30 days. We all have our gifts. I absolutely believe we carry our wisdom from lifetime to lifetime. So you can't take your crystals with you. You can't take your, your people with you. I actually think you do carry your people with you. I think that's your soul web is what I call it. But, right? And some kids don't read by age 8. Meanwhile, I'm like sticking things to the wall. But my kids were late readers, late talkers, late walkers. You know what I mean? So every kid is different, and that's why we can't project onto our kids expectations. My kids are not here to be writers. It's not their gift. But my son is an athlete and my daughter's an artist. So that's going to take them to all of the places that I'm not an athlete or an artist. I have none of those gifts. So I have this huge, massive, respect, for my kids because they've got totally different gifts than I do. And it's been fun as a parent. It's like opening a Christmas gift, right? Who are they? These beautiful people that came through me, they're not me. They have their own, they came from some other place, and I'm just blessed to be able to put a roof over their head and hug them and kiss them and see who they become. But the challenge we face is when people have expectations of us, right? Like, I'm a writer, so you're going to be a writer. Oof, right? I'm an artist, so you're going to be an artist. Oof, we can't do that, right? We have to let our kids sort of become who they're going to become. Debbie was riding horses by 3, right? How'd you know how to do that? If you put me on a horse, Debbie, I would fall the fuck off that thing.
Right now?
Please don't put me on a horse. Actually, first of all, I'm terrified of horses, okay?
Please don't put me on
a horse. I don't like to ride anything. I really don't. And I can't even imagine. If you're 3 years old on a horse, you have gifts that this lovely lady in front of you does not have, right? I'm just telling you, we're all different. And so it's I'm a really good writer and thinker and reader, but I have no artistic ability. I'm the world's shittiest athlete. I can't swim to save my own life. Okay, I made it. You know what I mean? I'm still here. So yeah, what sound tool has helped me most with MS? Singing bowls. Yeah, I put it wherever the pain is and I let it just vibrate through, especially the Tibetan ones, the big hand-hammered ones. Oh, so good. So good. I did it last night. I have one big hand-hammered bowl that I got in Tucson. It's got a flower of life in the middle of it. You guys have seen it before. I used it last night, and it's when I lay down and I put that on wherever I'm having pain and strike it, and you can just feel the vibration. But the quartz bowls are good too. Well, that's very cool. Natural Calm has a version with melatonin. Good. We're finding all this out tonight. I'm going to be screenshotting all of this and going on Amazon later tonight to find all your different kinds of magnesium. I don't know what I ordered on Amazon. It was late, and Karen Brown and I were texting. I swear to God, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, her time. Oh, my
goodness, Karen.
She and I text late. She's a night owl. And I'm always why are you texting me? It's so late. I love you.
One of these nights, I'm going to start a group chat with both of you that just says, go to sleep.
Karen's my buddy.
No,
she was my buddy before she was your moderator. Brass bowls with quartz Vogel for Christina. I love that. Lauren uses her 174 hertz tuning fork for muscle aches. Love that. And honestly, Gypsy, it almost doesn't matter what key it is if it's working for you. it's very like 3D for us to want to go, oh, what key is it, and is it right? This is the right frequency and all that stuff. Like, let your intuition be the guide, right? Yeah, Rochelle has a whole set of Tibetan bowls, but Rochelle also facilitates medicine journeys for people, so you probably need the whole thing, right? She's 2 or 3 hours ahead. Are you 3 hours ahead of me, Karen? I think you're 2. Anyway. I appreciate our little chit-chats. She texted me last night. She's like, but how are you really? I think it was like 9 p.m. my time. I love you. Aww. Bath salts with the magnesium are always good. Yeah. The WOD tubes are great too. And the WOD tubes I like to bring because my brain is always kind of on overload. So what I do with the WOD tubes is I strike it and I bring it over like between ear to ear, and then I bring it forward from third eye to the back of the head. So ear to ear and then forward to back. Make like a cross across the, boop, boop, across the top of your head. Gongs are great. Yep. Gongs are amazing. I don't have a good gong because they're so expensive. I don't have a good one. There are sound healers here in LA who have really big, good gongs. It's hard for me to spend like $5,000-$10,000 on a sound tool. I have not crossed that line yet. For me personally, it's hard, but I have friends who have the big professional gongs, and if you want to have that experience, if there's somebody in your area who does sound healing, there's a line for what I will spend on healing tools, and it's probably just my immigrant upbringing. I can't bring myself to do it. So we're not going to teach you about gongs next year because I don't have one, but we're going to teach you about everything else. I have a small gong. It's like yay big. I used to have it in the classroom at Sage Goddess, but it doesn't sound anything like the big gong. And I had a chance in Tucson a couple of years ago to buy a gong. I think I mentioned it to Dave or somebody. Whoever it was like, move on from that. I don't think it was Dave. I think it was Brooklyn, where I was like, hey, I could buy this gong or whatever. And it's like, yeah, and you could also buy I don't know, a piece of land somewhere, right?
I think that was the year before I started coming with you guys.
I think it was.
Because I remember wasn't there a picture you posted on
with
Instagram
my purple boots?
Yes, yeah. I wasn't there that year.
Oh, the guy was hard selling too. And I was like, oh, I really want this gong. And somebody I remember told me to move on.
Well, you can know it wasn't.
I moved on. It does not belong to me. And he ended up having to give that to somebody else. But everybody has a limit, you know what I mean? If I was doing professional gong shows or something, or big sound healing ceremonies, maybe I could make sense of it, but I'm not doing that, so I can't do it. Yeah, there's a limit to gong sounds. I have friends who have gongs though. I think Sherry has one. I never heard it. I've been to Sherry's yoga studio in Indiana a couple times. I'm pretty sure she has a gong, but I haven't heard it before. I want to get gonged. I just don't want to buy a gong.
I want to get gonged.
No, I want people to gong me. I just don't want to spend the money to self-gong. Shouldn't you just get gonged? Isn't that a service people can provide you? It sounded bad. I know. It's really bad. And the room for it too. That's right, Gloria. I don't have a place for it. Where am I going to put a gong? You would think that we have enough space for it here, but we really don't. So maybe one day if I have another classroom type situation, but even in the old SG classroom, I didn't have room for it. I had my little shitty hand gong, but it was nothing like my grandma would say to shake a stick at. Cindy said her old doctor had a magnesium vitamin compounded for her. He said even if the bottle says 2,000%, that doesn't mean your body absorbs it all. He had it compounded so that more was absorbed. That's interesting. So it kind of echoes what we were told earlier by, who was mentioning it earlier, that you kind of can't OD on magnesium. I don't know because I'm not a scientist or a doctor, so talk to your doctor about magnesium and how much you need to process, right? Jill Lathers, can we fully cure a chakra or will it be on and off process?
I think it's going to be a forever thing.
I do too. Here's the thing, the problem is we're human and we live on Earth. I can cure your throat chakra, and then you can go out in the world today and somebody can say, shut up, Jill.
I'm all messed up.
I'm serious. And then you'll be like now you've got a block again, right? So it's like, I think we are constantly evolving, and I think we're constantly having experiences where like we can heal all the sexual trauma and then get into an abusive relationship and be traumatized.
Yeah.
I mean, of course I want none of that to happen, but I'm just saying, like, somebody's going to cut you off in the freeway and make you mad, and what? That doesn't affect you anymore because now you're Buddha? Like, it's just, I don't think we get to that state of nirvana or enlightenment in this lifetime. So for me, the way I look at it is, I'm a work in progress. Every day I wake up, me personally, and I'd be curious to hear what you think about this, I literally wake up every day and go, today I'm going to do better than I did yesterday. Right? I'm going to, if I encounter this same challenge, I'm going to face it in a different way. If I feel sad and overwhelmed, I'm going to look at it from a different perspective. If I don't feel grateful enough, I'm going to remember X, Y, and Z. If somebody makes me cry, I'm going to respond to them with more compassion. If I lose something, I'm going to try to appreciate something else even more. Every single day I wake up and like, that's my intention. I want to do better today than I did yesterday. But you don't know what you're going to encounter in a day unless you stay home and never leave the house, right? And some days I'm not better than I was yesterday. Sometimes I do a real shitty job of stuff where I'm just like, well, I could have done that better. Wow. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I see life as a constant exfoliation. Now you've got new dirt, right? Shit people say or do or whatever, and now you have to get it off. And like, how do you do that in a new way?
I think it has something, my personal opinion is that it has something to do with our oscillatory rates as well. Because
I think you're right.
You've taught that we,
I think you're right.
Not only do we not have a stable oscillatory rate, we also have multiples in our body.
We do.
And I think that is connected to the chakras. I really do. And that's why crystals are such good tools. Well, I learned it from you. But I had this conversation with an Uber driver recently, and it's interesting that this is coming up because the Uber driver that I had this conversation with a month or so ago, I had him again this morning.
Really?
And that doesn't happen all that often.
That's the universe putting him in your path.
And so I was like, hey, like, I remember talking to you. I think I had you before. And so we kind of talked about it again. But I remember he had asked me, because he had asked me what I do. Because whenever people pick me up from this building, they're like, Sage Goddess, what is that? And so I explain it. And so I had talked to him about our...
Do you tell him that we raise and train dolphins with interior pools?
I talked to him about our class programs, and he was like, how do you feel about like educating people on like crystals and stuff? And he wasn't being rude, like he was asking me a real question, because he was like, you know, like the science, like how do you feel about it? And I was like, well, there is scientific stuff about it. So I brought up the oscillatory rate, and then it's just interesting it's coming up again. But yeah, I think that our oscillatory rate impacts our chakras.
Yeah, me too.
And that's why it's never going to be fully healed, or at least it's never going to stay fully healed. I think it's constant work, you know, but as long as you're being intentional about it and aware about it and everything, like that's kind of the goal, you know?
I have nothing to add. That was really smart. I did write about dominant oscillatory rates in my new book, which you can't buy, so I'm not technically promoting it. But it was the first time I've written about it, because your body has... So here's what's interesting about crystals. Every crystal has a dominant oscillatory rate. It has a vibration, a frequency, and it's static. It never changes. And that's because every crystal has an internal structure that repeats in what we call a lattice. But your body does not have a dominant oscillatory rate, because every one of your internal systems has a different oscillatory rate. So your digestive system, when you're constipated, has a lower oscillatory rate than your heart when you're in palpitations, with a higher oscillatory rate. So crystals can help to balance. And when you're drawn to something, it's like, why am I drawn to that? Why am I drawn to that? Wear that ring today. You know what I mean? Like, something in your system is smarter than you, right? So if you think your brain is your highest form of intelligence, it's not, right? You have spirit guides and you have all of these pieces of insight, right? But yeah, she said it beautifully, which is that this life is not about winning the race.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to fix it all, solve it all, know it all, have it all, then you're going to be in an endless loop of disappointment. This life is about understanding and appreciating and tuning. And honestly, that's how we developed our programs for next year. It's like the focus on astrology is what's happening this month astronomically and astrologically, and how do you prepare for it? And then with sound tools, how do you use sound, and with the Crystalpedia, how do you use sound and crystals to kind of adjust and adapt to these circumstances that are really outside of your control? But it's never going to be like, you're never going to have more jewelry than anybody else. You're never going to be cuter than anybody else. You're never going to be thinner than anybody else, right? So this isn't you're not going to be smarter than anybody else. Like, there are smarter people, cuter people, happier people, wealthier people than me. So like, what's the goal? The goal is to be the biggest, brightest version of you that you can be with the time that you have, and to help as many people as you can before you're yanked out of here.
Katrina's requesting a bebop that says DOR, and I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think DOR is great. You know what I mean? I don't know what color it should be. Some of us want to win, and then some of us have realized there's nothing to win. The people I know who like are chasing things, like they're chasing relationships and they're chasing money and they're chasing like stuff, they're not very happy. The people I know who are really, really happy, like my dad's a really happy person. One of the things I admire about my father, like even last night, he was like, I was like, how are you feeling? He's like, I don't know, I feel pretty good. I'm just happy. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm looking forward to my lunch, with his Greek accent, you know, and it's so nice to see you guys. And I don't know, there's an inner peace that comes from just fully being where you are and appreciating what you have. And it's like, but man, that's tough wisdom. And then how do you pass that on to the next generation where everything's a competition, right? Am I smarter than you? Am I not as smart as you? Am I cuter than you? Am I not as cute as you? Do I have as much as you? Do I have more than you? How do you pass that wisdom on, right?
I think the DOR bebop, hear me out.
Okay.
I think the DOR bebop should be made in different colors, and it should be intuitive to further the thing that it's not like, it's not a set thing.
Is Lindsay watching?
I'm emailing her
Okay.
right now.
It's the beauty way, Jennifer Anderson. Right? Yeah. I mean, it's really, really true. Right? But I don't know how we teach people that, because our whole culture is based on get, have, learn, go, and it's like, I don't know. Yeah. Gratitude is what it comes down to, right, Jamie? Jamie says, my yellow car theory, whenever you see a yellow car, stop and take a minute to be grateful. Instant hit of happy, pretty soon you go from noticing the yellow cars to looking for them. I think that makes you a beautiful person. I really do. And we could take that metaphor, Jamie Brishon, from like yellow cars to like daisies or roses or, you know, puppies or whatever. Like when you see something, and you know that this is physics, right? Like what you look for, you will find. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to try to see every Burger King I can on this drive from here to Las Vegas, you will see every Burger King, right? In psychology, it's called confirming evidence, right? Because I have a PhD and I took a lot of classes in psychology. So there's this concept of confirming evidence. So you will find what you're looking for. If you're looking for proof that people are assholes and they're out to get you, guess what you're going to find? If you are looking for proof that people are good and this universe wants to support you, guess what you're going to find? If you are looking for proof that people are good and this universe wants to support you, guess what you're going to find? If you are looking for proof that people are assholes and they're out to get you, guess what you're going to find? If you are looking for proof that people are good and this universe wants to support you, guess what you're going to find? If you are looking for proof that people are good and this universe wants to support you, guess what you're going to find? I have this theory around like COVID and like almost everything else. Like if you spend all your time thinking about something and fearing something, you're actually going to magnetize it toward you, versus if you decide what you're in energetic alignment with and not in energetic alignment with, then you're going to regulate your own environment. And I'm not a COVID denier by any stretch of the imagination, but I have found that people who really worried about it got it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just think there's something about, like, you're going to find what you're looking for. You know what I mean? You make space. My teacher says you make a home for things. Like, do you make a home for things? Do you make a home for love? Do you make a home for hate? Do you make a home for illness? Do you make a home for wellness? Do you make a home for jealousy? Do you make a home for gratitude? Do you make a home for resentment? Right? We talked about this earlier. Like, people should give me things. That's going to lead you to feel like nobody gives you anything, versus making a home for, like, I have everything I need. Then you're inviting in, like, unexpected blessings, right? I don't know. I'm not the smartest person in the room. I'm just saying that where your attention goes is like a beam. You know, it's a laser beam. It tells the universe, bring me more of that. What am I making a home for? Like, I want to make a home for happiness and for peace and for joy and for abundance and appreciation and gratitude and beauty. Like, that's what I want to make a home for. I don't want to make a home for shittiness and assholes and, you know, hatred. I don't want to make a home for that. So if those things are out there, that's great. Those things exist, but they don't have a home here. So they have to go find somebody else to live with, right? Like, I'm not making a home for that. But that's scientific. That's psychological. Look up confirming evidence. You will find what you are looking for. If you want a reason to believe that people are absolutely worthless, you will find 5,000 reasons before the end of the day today to prove you're right. And if you're looking for reasons to believe that people are amazing and beautiful and valuable on every level, you'll find 5,000 reasons you're right before the end of the day today. And that's just life. And so, you know, my husband always says, and it drives me crazy, like, what's a good day start with? And the kids both go, a good attitude. And I hate it. It's so dumb. Honestly, I'm just like, I can hear him going, what's a good day start with? And I can hear them saying, a good attitude, because he's been saying it since they were little. That's not really my vernacular, but I don't think he's wrong. A good life starts with, what are you looking for? And if you don't know, you better figure that out. Because if you leave a vacuum around what you're looking for, the universe is going to fill it with something, and it may not be what you want. So you have to say, I'm looking for health, and I'm looking for reasons to believe that people are beautiful, and I'm looking for God, and I'm looking for truth, and I'm looking for wisdom, and I'm looking for companionship, and I'm looking for joy, you know, whatever it is, right? Yeah, he always says it at breakfast. What's a good day start with? It was the other day I was having a bad attitude. What he calls a baditude. I was having a baditude. And he literally looked at me and he goes, what's a... And I didn't even let him get the words out of his mouth. I was just like, fuck off. Fuck off. Let me have my baditude. Because sometimes you want to have a baditude, right? Like, you're grumpy and you're PMSing or menopausing, and I just want to have my baditude. But he's not wrong. What's a good day start with? Not a baditude, a gratitude. But sometimes when you're feeling shitty, you don't want that. Leo and me is like, we're good here, Sheriff Dave. I don't need the lecture about what a good day starts.
What's a good day start?
I know my grandkids one day are going to be like, what's a good day start with?
I'm gonna get him with that the next time he's grumpy.
I want a tank top that says baditude.
Baditude.
And then I want one that says gratitude. And then you'll know by what I'm wearing, like, what's going on downtown.
Baditude,
you know?
Gratitude.
Baditude.
It's kind of like our fun promotion that starts tomorrow.
We can't talk about it, but you might be getting a penis in your orders tomorrow.
Your fate is in your hands. That's all we'll say.
It's not my fault.
I saw a question. So I saw a question from Kaz, and
Yeah.
she was wondering how she can get her Rose of Jericho to thrive. And I see Karen
I don't think that's
responding
gonna
to
thrive.
her. That's what I was going to say. So I see Karen responding, but I think, and
They want a Batitude people.
a Batitude. All right, I'll send that too.
Listen, if we're gonna make a DOR, let's make a Batitude.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll send that
we'll do
too.
that.
We'll do Batitude and Gratitude. I think we may have already had it, but I don't think Rose of Jerichos are meant to thrive. I think it's part of their life cycle.
Yeah, they're gonna die.
and then then you can bring them back. But I don't think they're meant to stay thriving.
Okay, so you wanted a preview. 25% of Sage Goddess ends tonight. Boohoo, code cyber at midnight. So if you have something in your cart and you want 25% off, but you know what starts tomorrow? Colibri clothing. Off the shoulder sweatshirts, hoodies, and tank tops. Oh my god. And crystal penis necklaces.
Should Batitude be spelled with 2 T's?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's BATTITUD. Batitude. Don't tell anybody else about the clothing. Yeah. And then on Friday, the tools for the new classes go live, and the new classes go live. Does anybody? It's 6:00. Wait till you see the clothing. Holy shit! It's so cute. That's Katie Janelle's art that she made for me. You have Narrowly to thank for the clothing, by the way. And by the way, don't get mad tomorrow when it only goes up to size 2X. That's not our fault. The clothing manufacturer doesn't go above 2X. I would do above 2X. We're trying to find a new clothing manufacturer who goes above 2X. I know. It's just really hard to find that in the US. So we're going outside the US next year to find a broader range of sizes. But the clothing is really cute. Friday, the new programs launch. The tools for the new programs launch on Friday, 7 a.m. We have up to 2X tomorrow. The tools go live on Friday. The off-the-shoulder sweater is super cute. You know me, I'm always like everything off the shoulder because I think shoulders are cute and sexy. Tanya's going to put a questionnaire theory in Soul Shift. I'm all about it. I'll go read it later. You going to put it there tonight? I tend not to sleep very well after class because the energy is like boom, boom, boom. So I'll probably be up late tonight. Narrowly's amazing. One of these days I want you to meet him. He's a good soul.
Some of you guys have met him. He did a couple live promos.
That's true. He did do the live
with
promos.
us.
You haven't seen him in a while though, but
yeah,
he's
I think
good.
he would love to come live and talk to you guys.
I know, Sherry. Just know, Sherry, it's not our fault. It's the clothing in the U.S. I don't know what it is, honestly, and it's not okay. But we're going outside the U.S. for 2023 to have expanded size options. When is the deadline for tools for January? I don't know. It's when they sell out, and we do have a limit on them because of containers and bottles because China's in a COVID lockdown. Do you know about that? Like, it's really true. So I would order your tools as soon as possible, subscribe to them on Friday. So it means the tools for the new programs will be live for you to subscribe to on Friday. They're optional. You don't have to have them, but they are limited because of that. There is a subscription, Kate. So yeah, so that starts Friday. Okay.
Yeah, I believe it is still. I believe the deadline to sign up for the tools is still the 14th. So we're sticking with that.
Till the 14th.
Yeah.
But if they sell out, we will let you know because they are limited this year because of that.
Yeah.
Classes are still weekly. They're every Wednesday. I think your subscription for the tools rolls over too, but we'll find out.
Yes, I believe
She's getting answers to that.
Yeah.
Yes, Lana, we're checking. Shawls are coming, and I'm putting little rhinestones on them. You know my shawl that like opens at the shoulder and has a little, Narrowly's doing that, and he's putting a little Swarovski crystal on the shoulder. It's going to be so cute, and we're doing them in all the colors. No, the tools are going to be shown on Friday. Please come be live with me on Friday. I'm going to answer all your questions about programs. I'm going to be live with the tools. I will show you everything on Friday. What day? Friday. What's today? Not Friday. I just have a big ass mouth. So you don't need to sign up for classes for next year if you want to stay in programs. You just need to stay where you are. And then the tools, I think also you don't have to sign up, but we will find out.
I will get the information for you. Sorry, I'm just picking up my paper. I'm gonna
I need to
that
shut
question.
up.
we're gonna we will get you the information. I'm writing down the question to make sure I get that covered tomorrow. So I don't want to give you guys the wrong answer.
As soon as I can get my ass out of bed and get here. I have to drop off the kids and stuff, and then I'll get here on Friday. I don't know, I'm thinking maybe probably 10 a.m. Pacific time I can be here on Friday, so I'll get to you by 11, 12, 1 Eastern. I know. You can start to order and subscribe to tools on Friday. The annual membership for classes has not gone up for the next year, so I think it's $100 a month for Living Magic.
For the annual?
For the annual is the same, and the monthly is the same.
Yeah.
So whatever you paid this year is the same.
Yeah, it's $1,000 for annual, $100 a month.
Yeah, $1,000 for annual and $100 a month for.
No.
Yeah.
Membership prices are not going up.
Not even by $1.
No.
And then the tools are going up to $44 for Crystal Masters and $111 for Soul Shift, from $40 and $100. I'm telling you, that is the Holy Mother Mary descending from above to be able to not lift them any more than that, because the price of everything is so expensive now. I'm going to be going live all day long until you are so exhausted from me that you're going to want me to go away, and you're going to tell me that. And it's okay. I won't take it personally, because I know I'm too much sometimes. Karen's like, oh God, Athena. That E-Smith, if you did the annual membership this year, that's what we're looking into, is whether that rolls over or you have to choose that, and we'll find that out for you. There is no free shipping on tools because I'm not Santa Claus. I wish I was. Shipping is expensive, but we're trying to keep the shipping cost down. We're trying to keep everything down, because everything is expensive. Have you looked at food? Do you know I stopped eating avocados this year? I mean, I know that sounds really dumb, but everything, I have cut back. I used to put more food into my soups. I make less. I was eating an avocado a day. I stopped that. I love grapefruits. I'm only having 2 a week instead of 4 a week, because they're $2.50 a grapefruit. It's just, everything is so expensive. So we are trying to keep everything down, because it's insane. I mean, I cannot believe it. My dad was like, we have not seen inflation like this since 1979. And I was like, yeah, I know, man. It's insane right now. We're trying really hard, everybody.
I don't want you guys to be stressing out about this. I see a lot of questions about the annual, the monthly.
I will explain it on Friday.
Yes, and membership fees will not be going through until January 1st.
Nobody pays anything till January.
So it's okay. We will get you your answers.
Yeah, don't worry.
And it's going to be okay.
Don't worry. Everything's going to be fine. I'm just showing you everything so you have time. Here's the thing. I want you to take your time making your decision. What if you don't want to join the new program? What if you hate it? We're trying to get everything in front of you in early December, so you have the whole month to decide. You don't have to sign up for classes until the 31st of December. Okay? So just take a minute. It's going to be great. I'm excited about it. Karen Brown wants us to stop. She's like, look at the time, everybody. No, don't feel bad for asking. I feel bad because I'm repeating myself that, do not stress. We're not raising prices on the programs. We're doing everything we can. We will post it. I'll email you. I'm going to stick a Post-it to my forehead. I will do a song and dance for you. I'll be live in Soul Shift. I'll be live in Crystal Masters. I'll be live on Instagram. I'll be live on our main Facebook page. Yeah, and there are smaller and bigger classes, so you can take just the Crystalpedia class, or just the astrology class, or Living Magic, which is all 4 of the classes. So in the past, we've only had 1 individual class for you. Now we're going to have 2 individual classes for you. So if you just want astrology, yay! If you just want Crystalpedia, yay! Or if you want everything together, yay! We're giving you more options, and so I think it's a win-win all around. I don't have all the answers right this minute. But I will have them on Friday, and I'm not going to get in trouble anymore after that, so it's going to be so great.
We love you guys.
We love you very much. I hope tonight was really fun for you.
I do too.
Cindy Dotson said she asked 3 times and I didn't answer her question. Well, shit, Cindy Dotson. What did you ask? Hold on. I don't want to not answer your question. Oh, accreditation. We still have our accreditations from last year, but can I just be honest with you? Nobody is accrediting for continuing education units, online classes, and crystal healing anymore. Not me, not Hibiscus Moon, nobody. Nobody's doing it. I don't know if it's a liability issue. I don't know what it is. So, to my knowledge, we still have our accreditations.
We took them off.
Oh, did we take them off?
Technically, we still can do it, but
we can do it, but we're taking them off.
Take them off.
They are not useful for continuing education units for anybody, not just Sage Goddess. So they're really expensive, the accreditations, and they're not giving you anything. Does that make sense? Sometimes I want to be the bearer of honest tidings. So we can continue to pay for all of them, but you're not getting benefits from them, and then we have to raise prices because they're expensive. So Cindy Dotson, I hope you were hearing me. They used to accredit for CEUs and all those things in the past, but they don't, and they haven't for like the last 2 years. And so if you notice, people who used to talk about those things all the time don't talk about them anymore because they're not doing it. And I don't know what it is. I don't have answers to those questions. But you will still get certificates from us. And I'm accrediting you. And I used to be a member of the certifying body for California Educational Accrediting Institutions. So honestly, I think mine probably matters more than anybody else's. You are for this year, yes.
Yeah,
this year, the certificates have all the things, and the boop, and the boop, and the boop.
No, 2022 certificates do have it.
But you can ask anybody, including people who used to talk about it all day long. Nobody's doing it. Or I would do it because, listen, I'm all about accreditation. I used to be an accrediting officer for California for colleges and universities. I was part of the accrediting body that would travel to colleges and universities and accredit them every year. 2022 is accredited. Does that make sense? But they still aren't using CEUs for those classes, even for 2022. I put all the stickers and the boops on there for you for 2022 because we promised we would and we paid for all of that. And you have it, but for 2023, they're not doing it. I just want to be really transparent about that because it's all the people who used to talk about it, they're not even talking about it anymore because it's just not happening anymore. Does that make sense?
Yes, Jan. Everything is included in
IPHM, all of them are valid for 2022. And I love IPHM, but they're no longer valid for CEUs. Does that help you? I wish they were, and part of me wants to start my own accrediting agency for CEUs for metaphysical classes. And maybe in my retirement, I will do that. I'm not bored enough to do it right now, but I have the credentials to be able to do it, so part of me is like, maybe I should do that. I should become the accrediting officer for all metaphysical education in the world. So anyway, you're getting 4 certificates from me in 2023. And your certificates will come to you probably in January or February.
Yeah. It takes some time.
That's not me, that's my team.
Yeah.
And it takes them forever.
All right, guys, I'm gonna shut her down.
Everybody has to go. I'm gonna get in so much trouble.
We love you.
You
guys
have to
so
pay
much.
Megan Easton for accreditation, but you also have to be approved. Like I had to go through hours of interviews. I had to submit my PhD transcripts. I had to prove my level of education. I had to meet with people on Zoom. It's not like a rubber stamp thing, but because it doesn't give you anything, it doesn't give you CEUs, that's the reason why we're like, I don't know if it's really valuable anymore. But it was, I mean, I don't want you to think it was a rubber stamp thing. They really wanted to know I was legit. And I am legit. I'm too legit to quit. But I'm going to quit right now because we're tired. All right, you guys, we love you.
Love you guys.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Good night, Karen.
She said Alexis is going to push the